Welcome. Close your eyes. Breathe slowly, deeply. Allow the weight of your day to melt away as we drift together into a quiet journey through time. Tonight, we are not rushing. We are wandering softly, slowly, into the forgotten corners of history. I recommend you to, I strongly recommend letting this video play in the background to gently stimulate your imagination. And if you find comfort in this gentle storytelling, if this work helps you relax, feel free to like the video and subscribe for more calm journeys into the past. Now, imagine yourself 1,000 years ago in a world without glowing screens, without electricity, without the modern hum of machines. We are going to explore how people slept long before our restless nights. Let us begin. Now, imagine yourself 1,000 years ago in a world without glowing screens, without electricity, without the modern hum of machines. The night was not something to resist, but something to surrender to. As the sun disappeared beyond the horizon, the world changed. Villages grew silent, animals settled into their pens, and the last orange glow of firelight flickered in wooden homes. Darkness came deep and absolute, not broken by lamps or buzzing bulbs. Only the stars and the moon watched over the sleeping earth. Picture yourself inside a small wooden cottage, its roof thatched, its walls built from rough timber. The air smells faintly of smoke and wool, perhaps hay spread across the floor. There is no glow of screens, no hum of appliances, only the stillness of night pressing against the cracks in the walls, the quiet presence of the earth itself. It was in this silence that sleep came, not as a fight, not as something earned after exhaustion, but as a natural drifting. The body followed the rhythm of the dark, and when the fire sank low, so too did the minds of those inside. But sleep was not always a single stretch, the way we imagine it today. Long ago, it often came in two parts. The first sleep, deep and restorative, carried people for a few hours after nightfall. Then, naturally, they would wake, not startled, not restless, simply awake. For an hour, perhaps two, they might pray quietly, speak to a loved one, add wood to the fire, or even step outside to breathe under the cold sky. And then, with calm acceptance, they would return to bed to sink into the second sleep. That second stretch was filled with softer dreams, lighter rest, until the gray light of dawn returned. Now imagine the bed itself. For most, it was simple, a pile of straw or hay, sometimes mixed with dried herbs to keep away insects. The poor shared rough blankets of wool or animal furs for warmth. In wealthier homes, there might be frames of carved wood, ropes tied in patterns to hold a mattress stuffed with feathers or reeds. Curtains sometimes enclosed the bed, keeping out draughts, holding in warmth. No matter how humble or elaborate, the bed was a refuge, a place where night carried people gently toward morning. And they rarely slept alone. Families often huddled together, children pressed against parents, servants resting in corners, even travelers sharing a bed in a crowded inn. Privacy was a luxury, and warmth was survival. The sound of breathing filled the dark, slow, steady, rising and falling like the ocean. The occasional crack of wood in the hearth, the shift of a body against straw, the quiet sigh of someone turning in their sleep. These sounds were not disturbing. They were the music of the night, the proof of life continuing in stillness. Close your eyes now and imagine that sound around you. The deep, slow rhythm of many people sleeping together, each breath blending with the next. It was a comfort, a reminder that you were not alone. The night did not belong to one, but to all. In castles, in cottages, in inns along the road, sleep was shared, communal, ordinary. It was not about perfect silence or perfect comfort, but about surrendering together to the same rhythm. And so the night stretched on. No clocks, no alarms, no strict schedules. Only the body, the fire, the stars, and the slow passage of hours. Sleep was a return, each night, to the same timeless rhythm, as natural as the rising of the sun. Let that image linger in your mind, the simple stillness of 1,000 years ago, when sleep belonged to the darkness, and the darkness belonged to sleep. The night was not just a curtain pulled over the day. It was an entire world of its own, slow and deep, stretching across the land. 1,000 years ago, when the last light of sunset faded, the earth seemed to exhale. The fields went silent, the forests stirred with unseen life, and the villages sank into quiet. People did not fight the darkness. They embraced it because there was nothing else to do. Without glowing lamps, without the noise of machines, without the endless chatter of modern life, the body surrendered naturally to the rhythm of the dark. You can imagine walking through a medieval village at dusk. The air is cool, filled with the scent of wood smoke drifting from chimneys. A dog barks once, then goes quiet. Doors close, shutters are drawn, and fires are banked low, so they will last the night. The sound of voices fades, replaced by the stillness of nightfall. Above, the sky is wide, stars scattered across it like spilled grain, more brilliant than anything we can see today. That vast dome of glittering lights was the ceiling beneath which everyone slept. Inside the homes, the air is dim, touched by the glow of a single flame. Perhaps a candle, perhaps a small oil lamp, perhaps only the fading embers in the hearth. It is enough to see the shape of the room, the outline of a bed, the curve of faces leaning close to one another. Slowly, one by one, eyes grow heavy. Sleep is not resisted, it is welcomed, for the day has ended and there is nothing left to do. Think of the feeling of lying down in such a place, the straw beneath you, rough yet familiar, holding the warmth of your body, a blanket of wool drawn over your shoulders, the faint tickle of smoke lingering in the air. Your muscles ache from the labor of the day, but that ache brings release. The body knows how to rest when there is no reason to fight it. With no clocks to obey, no alarms to fear, you fall asleep not at a fixed hour, but when your body decides it is ready. And when sleep comes, it comes deeply. The first sleep, heavy and restorative. pulling you down into the depths of stillness. The body is quiet, the mind drifts, and hours pass unnoticed. At some point, you stir, not with panic, not with frustration, but with calm awareness. You wake because it is natural, because that is what humans once did. In that quiet, you may stir the fire, warming the room again. You may whisper a prayer in the dark, words spoken softly so as not to wake the others. You may sit silently, simply listening to the night. This interval is not a disruption. It is part of the pattern, a pause before the next descent into dreams. After this gentle waking, you return to bed, and the second sleep begins. It is lighter, softer, more filled with images and visions. Dreams drift through your mind like mist across a field. Some are forgotten when the dawn comes. Others remain, etched in memory as omens or messages. Dreams mattered then. They were not dismissed as meaningless, but often seen as signs, as whispers from beyond the ordinary world. The second sleep carried these visions until the pale light of morning crept into the room, until roosters crowed, until the day called again. The rhythm of night was different then, but it carried its own kind of peace. It was not hurried, not measured by glowing numbers, not forced by schedules. It was the body and the darkness moving together. The world outside kept its own pace, and inside the walls, sleep followed faithfully. Close your eyes now, and imagine that rhythm becoming your own. The first sleep, deep and heavy. The gentle waking, calm and quiet. The second sleep, soft and dream-filled. The morning, slow and pale. Let that rhythm guide you, as it guided them 1,000 years ago, into rest that is natural, deep and timeless. The night 1,000 years ago was more than just the absence of light. It was a presence, vast and living, surrounding every home, every village, every person who lay beneath it. In those hours, the world seemed to shrink to the small circle of firelight inside a house, while outside stretched the infinite dark. For people then, sleep was not something separate from life, but woven into the very rhythm of existence. Imagine the soundscape of that time. There are no cars rushing by, no hum of electricity, no mechanical interruptions. Instead, there is silence, broken only by the soft breathing of those around you. The faint rustle of straw as someone shifts in their bed, the slow creak of wooden beams settling. From outside, the occasional cry of a night bird, the distant bark of a dog, or the haunting echo of a wolf carried on the wind. These sounds were not intrusive. They were reminders of the living world beyond the walls, and they blended into the fabric of sleep. Inside, the body found comfort in simple things. A rough blanket of wool pulled close, the faint warmth of a fading fire, the press of another body near you. Sleep was not solitary. It was shared. Families curled together, drawing comfort from one another's presence. The nearness of others was reassurance, a shield against the vast unknown of the night. To modern ears, it may sound uncomfortable, but for them it was ordinary. It was life. The rhythm of first sleep and second sleep gave the night a shape. The first sleep, long and heavy, restoring the body after a day of labor. The waking hours in between, gentle and unhurried, a time for reflection, prayer, or quiet conversation. Then the second sleep, softer, lighter, guiding people toward morning. It was a rhythm guided not by clocks, but by the body itself, by the slow heartbeat of nature. Think for a moment about the way dreams touched their nights, without the noise of modern life, without the constant distraction of glowing screens. Dreams carried more weight. People paid attention to them, searched for meaning, saw in them glimpses of the divine or the mysterious. A strange vision in the night might be shared in the morning, discussed, remembered, sometimes even written down by monks or scholars. Dreams were a language of their own, and the second sleep was their fertile ground. Now, imagine lying in that darkness. You open your eyes in the middle of the night, not to the glow of a phone, not to the brightness of a digital clock, but to true blackness, deep and complete. You hear the quiet breathing of your family, the faint crack of embers in the hearth. You feel the weight of blankets over you, the straw beneath you shifting slightly as you turn. You are awake, but there is no urgency, no anxiety. You are simply present in the stillness. After a while, your body calls you back down, and you sink again into sleep. This time softer, dream-filled, carrying you until the first light slips into the room. When dawn arrives, it does not shout. It does not ring alarms or buzz phones. It comes slowly, with the pale light spreading across the sky, with the rooster's crow, with the stirring of animals and neighbors beginning their day. The transition is natural, seamless, gentle. You rise with the sun, not against it, and the rhythm of your life follows the rhythm of the earth. Let this vision linger in your mind now. 1,000 years ago, people slept not in defiance of night, but in harmony with it. They trusted the darkness, accepted the waking hours in the middle of the night, embraced the closeness of others, and listened to the silence. Their sleep was different from ours, yet deeply human, timeless and simple. Allow yourself to feel that simplicity now, to imagine your body sinking into that same rhythm, calm and unhurried, guided only by the slow turning of the earth beneath you. Breathe deeply, slowly. Let that world carry you, and allow your own night to become as soft, as quiet, as timeless as theirs. The sleep of the past was filled with texture. It was not smooth or sterile, but alive with scents and sounds that gave the night its shape. To lie down 1,000 years ago was to surrender not only to darkness, but to the sensory world that surrounded you. The smell of earth, the warmth of bodies, the creak of wood, the call of night creatures, all of it became part of rest, woven seamlessly into dreams. Imagine lying in such a space. The straw beneath you shifts as you move, a faint rustle like dry leaves in autumn. The blanket of wool presses down, heavy, scratchy, grounding you. The air carries the smell of smoke from the hearth, lingering even as the fire fades to embers. Herbs tucked into bedding release their fragrance lavender, soothing the mind. Rosemary sharp and steady, sage earthy and warm. Each scent drifts through your breath, blending with the rhythm of sleep, softening your body further into calm. The sounds are steady companions. Embers crackle faintly, sending sparks upward before dimming again. Wood groans as the night cools the beams, each creak slow and gentle. From outside, the soft call of an owl drifts in, its voice haunting but steady, a reminder of the life that moves in darkness. Farther away, a wolf howls, its cry echoing across the land before fading into silence. Inside, the steady breathing of others surrounds you, their presence felt in every sigh, every shift, every quiet murmur in sleep. Close your eyes now, and let these sensations wrap around you. The weight of wool pressing into your chest, the faint scent of herbs drifting upward, the sound of breath blending into one steady tide. Nothing is separate, nothing is empty. The night is full, and it holds you. Sleep does not come in isolation, it comes in harmony, cradled by the details of the world. Even in castles, where the wealthy drew curtains around their beds, the presence of these sensations remained. The air still smelled of fire and stone, of wood and damp. Curtains muffled the sounds, but they could not erase them. The wind still pressed against the walls, the crackle of the hearth still whispered, servants still shifted softly in the dark. In inns, the tapestry was heavier snores, rising and falling, the smell of hay and sweat thick in the air, the creak of floorboards as travelers turned in their beds. Yet, even there, sleep carried everyone, wrapping discomfort into dreams, softening the edges of the night. Dreams wove themselves from these sensations. The howl of a wolf might slip into a dream as a shadow at the edge of a forest. The smell of lavender might appear as a field of endless flowers. The creak of beams might echo in a dream as distant footsteps. The glow of embers as strange lights guiding the way. The mind borrowed from the world around it, reshaping sound and scent into visions. Night and dream were not separate. They were two halves of the same rhythm. Think now of how natural this felt. There was no need for silence, no need for perfect stillness. Every detail had its place, every sound and smell part of the pattern. People did not try to block them out. They yielded to them, let them fold into their rest, trusted them as part of the night. And because of that, sleep was steady, unbroken by anxiety. It was a surrender to the world, not a fight against it. Let yourself surrender in the same way now. Breathe in slowly, deeply, and imagine the smell of smoke, of hay, of herbs. Let your ears soften to the sound of wood creaking, of embers sighing, of breathing rising and falling around you. Feel the weight of blankets, the uneven comfort of straw, the grounding presence of others. Nothing is separate. Everything carries you deeper. As they did long ago, allow yourself to drift not into emptiness, but into fullness. The fullness of night, the harmony of sensations, the rhythm of the world itself. Let it hold you, let it soften you, let it guide you into dreams, into stillness, into the endless calm of sleep. The way people slept 1,000 years ago were shaped not only by their homes and the world around them, but also by rituals, small practices woven into the night to bring comfort, protection, and peace. To enter sleep was not simply to close the eyes. It was to follow gestures, words, and habits passed down through generations, each one carrying meaning, each one softening the body and steadying the mind. Imagine the evening in a small village home. The day's work is done, the tools put away, the animals fed. Supper has been eaten, the fire is burning low. Before lying down, someone sprinkles herbs into the bedding lavender for calm, rosemary to ward away sickness, sage to keep away unwanted spirits. These scents fill the air as blankets are pulled close, each fragrance a quiet reassurance that the night will pass safely. In many homes, prayers were whispered, a sign of the cross traced gently in the air, words of protection spoken softly in the dark. Children repeated verses taught by parents, their voices small and clear, fading as sleep carried them away. The prayers were not only for the soul, but for the body, for safety through the long hours of night, for the gift of waking again at dawn. Sleep itself was seen as a little death, and morning a return, and so every night carried with it a sense of mystery, of gratitude, of trust. Close your eyes now and imagine these rituals wrapping around you. The faint smell of herbs drifting upward, the sound of whispered words fading into silence, the warmth of blankets pressing into you. These small acts are not just motions. They are the beginning of surrender, the bridge between day and night, the gentle guidance that carries the body toward rest. Even the wealthy followed rituals of their own. In castles, servants prepared the chambers for sleep. Fires were banked, candles extinguished, curtains drawn around beds to keep out draughts. Nobles might wash before lying down, or murmur prayers in Latin, their words echoing softly in vast stone halls. Though their surroundings were different, the purpose was the same, to create a boundary between the waking world and the world of dreams, to mark the moment of surrender. In monasteries, the rituals were more structured. The ringing of a bell signaled prayers at night, the chanting of psalms rising softly in the darkness. Monks lay on simple pallets afterward, their sleep broken by devotion, their rest as much a spiritual act as a physical one. To sleep was not to escape, but to prepare, to listen, to be ready when called. And in crowded inns, even strangers found small rituals. A traveler might place his belongings near his head for safety, or whisper a quiet word of blessing before turning onto the straw. A mother might tuck her child close, humming a tune, her voice low and steady until the child's breath grew slow with sleep. Rituals did not need grandeur. They lived in the smallest gestures, placing wood on the fire, pulling blankets close, whispering to the dark. Think of the comfort these rituals carried. Each one told the body that it was safe to rest. Each one soothed the mind into quiet. The smell of herbs reminded you of care. The sound of prayer reminded you of protection. The weight of blankets reminded you of warmth. Altogether they formed a pattern as steady as the night itself. Let yourself feel that now. Imagine sprinkling lavender into your bed, the fragrance soft and calming. Imagine whispering a few words, not to be heard, but to settle your heart. Imagine the fire glowing faintly, the room cooling, the silence deepening. These are your rituals, as they once were theirs. They carry you from waking into sleep, from noise into stillness, from the day into the quiet passage of night. Breathe slowly, deeply, and let yourself surrender to that passage, just as they once did. Trust in the small gestures, the familiar comforts, the timeless rituals that guide you. Let them carry you gently into rest, deeper and softer, until dreams rise and the night holds you completely. The rituals of sleep 1,000 years ago were woven into daily life, small acts that bridged the world of day and the world of night. They did not think of sleep as a task to be managed, but as something sacred, something prepared for with gestures, scents, prayers, and habits that soothed both body and soul. Imagine again a humble cottage at the close of evening. The fire has been fed one last time, the flames rising before being left to fade into embers. A mother shakes out the straw of the bedding, adding fresh herbs to keep insects away and to ease the mind. The air fills with their fragrance lavender, sweet and calming, rosemary sharp and clean, chamomile soft and gentle. Each herb is more than a plant. Each is a quiet charm, a reminder that nature itself gives comfort to the sleeper. Children are gathered, their small voices repeating words taught by parents, prayers whispered to protect them through the long, dark hours. A father murmurs softly, crossing himself before settling into place, his body already heavy with the weariness of labor. Soon, the only sounds in the room are the faint crackle of fire and the slow rhythm of breathing. One voice fading into silence as the night begins its work. In noble houses, the rituals were more elaborate but carried the same heart. Servants prepared the chamber, drawing curtains around the bed, laying down cushions or furs, banking the fire so it would last the night. A basin of water might be offered for washing, the cool touch of cleansing before lying down. Prayers in Latin were spoken softly, sometimes aloud, sometimes in silence. Curtains closed out the draught. Candles were extinguished, and the noble sleeper entered the night in the same way as the poorest villager, wrapped in warmth, surrounded by silence, surrendered to rest. Close your eyes now, and feel the power of these gestures. The fire dimming, the air cooling, the scent of herbs drifting upward. The blanket is pulled close, the body sinking into straw, into feathers, into wool. Each motion is simple, but each is filled with meaning. Each tells the body, now is the time to rest. Now is the time to yield. Now is the time to dream. Monks in their monasteries carried rituals of another kind. The ringing of bells marked the hours of prayer, even in the depth of night. They rose from their beds to chant, their voices blending in low harmonies that echoed through stone halls. When the psalms were finished, they returned to their pallets, lying again in stillness until called once more. For them, sleep was an act of discipline as well as surrender, a rhythm broken and renewed by devotion. Yet even they, with their strict hours, trusted the quiet gestures that guided them, the closing of eyes, the folding of hands, the silence that returned after prayer. By inns, where travelers crowded together, the rituals were smaller but no less important. A man might place his cloak beneath his head, both pillow and guard for his belongings. A woman might tuck her child into the crook of her arm, humming softly until the child's breath slowed. Someone might whisper a blessing. Another might press a hand briefly to their chest before drifting off. Even among strangers, even in crowded rooms, the night was entered with care, each gesture a thread tying the body to the promise of sleep. Think of these rituals as layers of comfort. The smell of herbs grounding the senses. The sound of whispered prayers steadying the heart. The feel of blankets and straw pressing the body into stillness. The dim glow of embers fading into darkness. Each detail gentle. Each detail guiding the mind from wakefulness into dreams. Let yourself feel them now. Imagine sprinkling herbs into your bed, their fragrance rising like a soft lullaby. Imagine whispering words of thanks, words of trust, words spoken not for anyone to hear, but for your own heart. Imagine pulling the blanket close, the weight of it pressing you into calm. These are your rituals now, just as they were theirs then. Simple, steady, timeless. Breathe slowly, deeply, and allow yourself to yield to them, just as people did long ago. Let these gestures guide you into night. Let them soothe you, calm you, and carry you deeper into rest. With every breath, with every heartbeat, you surrender, and sleep takes you gently, softly, completely. The rituals of sleep in the past were never grand, yet they carried great meaning. They were the bridges between day and night, between labor and rest, between waking and dreams. To live 1,000 years ago was to move through these gestures naturally, without forcing them, without questioning them. The night had its own rhythm, and the rituals were the gentle steps that guided people into it. Picture yourself again in a small cottage, the room dim, the air cool. The fire has been lowered, glowing softly with red embers that pulse like a heartbeat. A mother tucks a child beneath a blanket, brushing a hand across their forehead, murmuring a soft word of comfort. The father places wood beside the hearth, ready for morning, before crossing himself and lying down. The scent of herbs lingers faintly, sharp and calming, blending with the smell of smoke and straw. The room hums with the quiet rhythm of preparation, and soon silence settles. The house surrenders together, the family wrapped not only in blankets, but in the safety of ritual. In noble chambers, the gestures were different but no less powerful. Curtains are drawn around the bed, closing out drafts and creating a cocoon of warmth. Linen sheets are smoothed, perfumes faint on the air, the fire carefully banked to last through the night. Candles are extinguished one by one, each flame fading until only shadows remain. A prayer is whispered in Latin, soft, steady, filling the stone chamber with a sense of peace. And then, just like in the cottage, the noble closes their eyes, the body heavy, the mind softened, carried into the same silence, the same surrender. Close your eyes now, and imagine these simple gestures guiding you. the sound of prayers whispered, the glow of flames dimming, the scent of herbs rising. Each detail is small, but each one holds meaning. Each one is a signal to the body that the day has ended, that the night has begun, that it is time to yield. Monasteries carried this sense of ritual even further. Monks lay down in silence, their beds simple pallets, their rest brief and broken by bells. Yet every act before sleep was deliberate. Hands folded, eyes closed, a prayer whispered into the darkness. Sleep was not separate from devotion. It was part of it. To surrender to night was to trust in God, to trust in the rhythm of creation, to let the body soften while the soul remained alert in faith. And in crowded inns, where the air was thick with many bodies and the straw was shared by strangers, ritual took its simplest form. A traveler might lay their head on a cloak, whisper a blessing under their breath, and close their eyes. Another might cross themselves quickly before drifting into exhaustion. A mother's lullaby might carry a child into dreams, the sound blending with snores, coughs, and shifting bodies. Even in the most chaotic of places, these gestures marked the passage into rest. Think now of the comfort these rituals gave. They were more than habits. They were anchors. The herbs eased the mind. The prayers calmed the heart. The fire's glow softened the darkness. The blanket's weight pressed the body into stillness. Each one reassured the sleeper that the night could be trusted, that the morning would return, that rest would come. Let yourself feel that reassurance now. Imagine pulling a blanket close, its weight warm and grounding. Imagine the faint glow of embers fading, their warmth still lingering in the room. Imagine whispering a few words, simple and steady, before closing your eyes. These gestures are timeless. They belong to you as much as they belonged to them. They are the path into calm, the steps into stillness, the way into dreams. Breathe slowly, deeply, and let yourself follow that path, just as they once did. Let your rituals carry you. Let them soothe you, hold you, and guide you into night. There is no rush, no effort, no struggle. Only the quiet trust of surrender. The same trust that carried people 1,000 years ago, and the same trust that carries you now, deeper and deeper into sleep. The way people slept 1,000 years ago was also shaped by the passing of life's milestones: birth, marriage, aging, and death. Sleep was not seen only as rest, but as a reflection of life itself. A reminder of beginnings and endings, of closeness and loss, of the fragile beauty of being human. Imagine a newborn child, wrapped in swaddling cloth, cradled against a mother's chest. The warmth of her body, the rhythm of her breathing, the steady beat of her heart. These are the lullabies that guide the child into sleep. There are no separate cribs, no solitary rest. The infant lies beside mother and father, their breaths joining into one rhythm. Sleep here is more than restoration. It is survival, the closeness keeping the child safe and warm against the cold of night. As children grow, their sleep changes, but closeness remains. Brothers and sisters curl together on straw, their limbs tangled, their dreams shared. A mother hushes them with a quiet word. A father settles beside them. The whole family joined by the blanket's weight, by the safety of nearness. Sleep is communal. The night not something faced alone, but something endured together. Marriage brings another rhythm. To people lying side by side, their breath mingling, their warmth shared. In villages they lie on straw with blankets of wool. In castles they lie on carved wooden frames with curtains drawn round. But in every case, sleep becomes a bond, a nightly weaving of lives. The rhythm of rest deepens the rhythm of union, tying one body to another in silence as much as in day. Close your eyes now, and imagine lying with someone you love in such a world. The straw shifts beneath you both. The blanket covers you both. The air carries the same scent of smoke and herbs. You hear their breath steady beside you, slow and calm. It reassures you, anchors you, carries you into dreams. Sleep is no longer yours alone. It is shared, and in sharing, it grows stronger. Aging, too, brings changes. The young sleep heavily, with dreams vivid and wild. The old wake more often, their bodies stiff, their breath sometimes troubled. Yet even then, the pattern is accepted. To wake in the night is no burden, but an expected part of the rhythm. The elder may rise, stir the fire, whisper a prayer, then return to bed. Their sleep is lighter, but it is steady, shaped by years of trust in the cycle of night. And at the end of life, sleep and death are often spoken of together. People understood the night as a little death, and death as a great sleep. Prayers at evening asked for protection through the night, for the gift of waking again at dawn. When someone passed, it was said they had fallen into eternal rest. The same surrender as nightly sleep, but deeper, lasting beyond the turning of the sun. Sleep was not only a pause between desert, was a reflection of eternity. Think of how comforting this was. To lie down at night was to practice trust, to surrender daily, to prepare gently for the final surrender that all must face. Sleep was not feared. It was embraced as part of the mystery, part of the journey, part of the rhythm of life. Let yourself feel that now. Imagine being carried by the same rhythm. Imagine the innocence of a child, wrapped in warmth. Imagine the bond of lovers, their breaths joined. Imagine the wisdom of age, waking and resting without fear. Imagine the final rest, soft and endless, a peace that carries beyond morning. Each stage part of the same pattern, each sleep a reflection of the life lived. Breathe slowly, deeply, and let that pattern settle into you, just as they did long ago. Trust in sleep as a mirror of life, a gentle rehearsal of surrender, a timeless reminder of rest. The night holds you as it held them, and you drift safely and softly, deeper and deeper into calm. The sleep of long ago reflected the stages of life, each phase carrying its own rhythm, its own meaning. To rest was never just a pause. It was part of growing, part of loving, part of aging, part of surrendering. The night carried everyone, no matter their station, no matter their years, weaving them into its steady embrace. Imagine once more a child in a small cottage. The day has been filled with play, with chores, with laughter and lessons. As night falls, the child curls close to mother and father, siblings gathered in a cluster of warmth. Their small body softens, their breath deepens, and sleep carries them without resistance. The sounds of the night, the crackle of fire, the sigh of wind, the murmur of voices fading, become the music that lulls them into dreams. To sleep as a child is to surrender completely, to be carried without fear. As the years pass, sleep begins to change. A youth filled with strength and energy may lie awake a little longer, listening to the quiet of the night. Yet even they surrender quickly, the exhaustion of work pressing them down, the weight of blankets grounding them. Their dreams are vivid, wild, shaped by the restless spirit of youth. They wake in the middle of the night, eyes open in the dark, but they do not fear the stillness. They let it pass, then sink again into the second sleep, carried onward toward morning. Marriage, too, transforms the night. Two lives now share one bed, one blanket, one rhythm. In humble homes, straw rustles as two bodies settle close, the warmth of their union carrying them through the cold. In noble chambers, curtains are drawn around the bed, but the essence is the same. Sleep is no longer solitary. It is woven together, each breath mingling with the other, each dream unfolding beside another's dream. To sleep in marriage is to know the comfort of presence, to let the night remind you that you are not alone. Close your eyes now and imagine lying in that closeness. You hear another's breathing beside you, slow and steady, blending with your own. You feel the warmth of their body near yours, the faint brush of movement as they shift. These are not distractions. They are anchors, steadying you, carrying you deeper. The night feels vast, but within it you are held in the circle of another's presence. Sleep becomes a bond, a nightly weaving of lives. As age comes, the body changes. Rest grows lighter, waking more frequent. Yet even this was accepted. An elder stirring in the night was not a cause for worry, but part of the natural rhythm. They might rise to stir the fire, their steps slow, their breath heavy. They might whisper a prayer into the silence, or sit in quiet thought, watching the embers glow. Then, when the body called again, they returned to bed, curling beneath blankets, surrendering once more. Their sleep may not have been deep, but it was steady, shaped by trust in the cycle. And when death approached, it was often described as the final sleep. Families whispered prayers over the body, speaking of eternal rest, of peace without waking. Sleep at night was seen as its reflection, a small surrender each day, a practice of letting go, a reminder that life is carried in cycles of waking and resting, beginning and ending. This view gave comfort, softening fear, reminding people that rest was never an ending, but a passage. Let yourself feel that comfort now. Imagine each stage of life reflected in your own rest, the innocence of childhood, the wildness of youth, the bond of closeness, the wisdom of age, the peace of final surrender. Each stage part of the same rhythm, each one carried by the same night. Breathe slowly, deeply, and let yourself sink into that rhythm, just as they once did. Allow yourself to see sleep not as something separate from life, but as life itself, gentle, cyclical, eternal. The night holds you as it held them, through every stage, through every year, guiding you softly, steadily, into calm. The night, 1,000 years ago, was not only a time of sleep, but a mirror of life itself. From the first breaths of a child to the final moments of the old, sleep reflected the journey of being human. It carried innocence, love, wisdom, and surrender, wrapping each stage in its own rhythm, its own kind of peace. Picture again a child, small and fragile, nestled between parents, their tiny breaths rising and falling in harmony with the larger bodies around them. The closeness is safety, the warmth is survival. The child does not resist sleep, does not fear the dark. They yield completely, as if the world itself is a cradle. Dreams drift in quickly bright, strange, fleeting. For the child, sleep is effortless, as natural as breathing. As years pass, the rhythm changes. A youth lies awake a little longer, the energy of the day still buzzing through the body. They turn on the straw, listening to the sounds of night, the wind sighing against the walls, the faint call of an owl, the soft breath of siblings nearby. Soon, the body yields exhaustion, pressing them into slumber. Their dreams are vivid, filled with adventure, shaped by the restlessness of youth. Even when they wake between first and second sleep, they are not unsettled. They simply lie quietly, waiting for the tide to carry them back again. Then comes adulthood, when sleep becomes something shared. A husband and wife lie together, their warmth joined, their breaths mingling in the silence. The straw shifts beneath them. The blanket covers them both. The night enfolds them as one. Sleep here is not only rest, it is bond, the silent weaving of two lives into one rhythm. The dreams that rise are colored by love, by work, by the weight of responsibility, by the comfort of presence. Close your eyes now and imagine that union. Another's body rests near yours, their breathing steady, their warmth reassuring. The night feels less vast when shared, the silence less empty. Sleep becomes not an act of solitude, but of connection, a nightly reminder that no one moves through life alone. With age, the rhythm shifts once more. Sleep grows lighter, broken by frequent waking, but there is no fear in this. The elder accepts the cycle, rising in the dark to stir embers, to whisper prayers, to think quietly before lying down again. Their rest may be lighter, but it is steady, shaped by trust in the passage of time. Their dreams are softer, less vivid, but filled with meaning. Memories resurfacing, voices returning, visions that feel like visits from long ago. And at the end of life, sleep and death are joined in thought. Nightly rest is spoken of as practice for the eternal rest that awaits. Evening prayers often ask for protection through the night, for the gift of waking at dawn. But when death comes, it is called a great sleep, a final surrender into peace. Families whisper of eternal rest, of being carried beyond the rising of the sun, of slipping into a night that has no ending. Think of the comfort this brought. Sleep was not only a necessity, but a teacher, reminding people daily of surrender, of trust, of the rhythm that carries all things. To sleep was to practice letting go, to rehearse the act of trust, to yield without fear. And because of this, the night was not only darkness, it was a passage, a promise, a reflection of eternity itself. Let yourself feel that now. Imagine your sleep as part of the same journey. Innocence in childhood, energy in youth, union in adulthood, wisdom in age, peace at the end. Each stage woven into the same rhythm, each carried by the same night. You are not separate from this. You are part of it, as they were, as all have been. Breathe slowly, deeply, and let yourself sink into that rhythm, just as they once did. Allow yourself to see sleep not as an interruption of life, but as its mirror. Yield to it, trust it, let it guide you. The night holds you, as it has always held those before you, and it carries you softly, endlessly, into rest. The way people slept 1,000 years ago was not only about beds and blankets, or prayers and rituals, or the turning of seasons. It was about belonging. To sleep was to give yourself to the night, to trust in the safety of others, to surrender to the rhythm of the earth itself. The night held everyone, rich and poor, young and old, each in their own way, but always with the same surrender. Imagine yourself in that world. The day has ended, the sun has fallen, and darkness has settled across the land. Villages grow quiet, castles dim, monasteries hush, inns grow still. Everywhere, people prepare for sleep. Some whisper prayers, some bank fires, some spread fresh straw on the floor. Others draw curtains around their beds. Different gestures, different settings, but all leading to the same act of surrender, closing the eyes, yielding to the dark, trusting in the night. The rooms are filled with sensations. The smell of smoke clinging to air, the faint fragrance of herbs rising from bedding, the creak of beams as the house cools, the warmth of bodies pressed close, the rustle of straw, the quiet murmur of someone turning in their sleep. Beyond the walls, the sounds of night echo, the call of owls, the howl of wolves, the sigh of wind moving through trees. These are not disturbances. They are the music of the night, blending with the breath of sleepers, cradling them into dreams. Close your eyes now and feel this belonging. Imagine lying with others near you, your breaths joining into one rhythm, the warmth of blankets covering many bodies at once. Imagine the fire's glow fading slowly, shadows deepening, the scent of lavender drifting into the stillness. The night does not separate you. It holds you, gathers you, carries you. You are not alone in your rest. You are part of something larger, something timeless. Dreams arrive gently, born from the world around you. The creak of beams becomes footsteps in a vision. The scent of herbs becomes fields of endless flowers. The call of an owl becomes a voice in the distance, mysterious but comforting. The night gives you these dreams, carrying you from the ordinary into the extraordinary, reminding you that rest is not only for the body but for the soul. Morning is far away, but you do not think of it. The night stretches vast and steady, long enough to carry you through first sleep, waking, second sleep, and dreams again. You do not chase rest. You do not measure hours. You do not resist. You simply surrender, as they once did, trusting the night to bring you what you need. And as you drift, you realize that sleep 1,000 years ago was not so different from sleep now. The beds may have been straw instead of memory foam, the blankets wool instead of cotton, the rooms filled with smoke instead of quiet hums of machines. But the essence is the same. The body yields, the mind softens, the night gathers, sleep arrives. The human heart has always needed rest, has always trusted the night to carry it into dreams. Let yourself feel that sameness now. Imagine yourself as part of the long chain of dreamers, stretching back through centuries. Villagers in cottages, nobles in castles, monks in monasteries, travelers in inns all. Of them closed their eyes as you do now, surrendered as you do now, drifted as you will now. You are not separate from them. You are one with them, carried by the same night, the same rhythm, the same endless gift of rest. Breathe slowly, deeply, and allow yourself to belong to this rhythm. Let yourself be held by the same night that held them. Let yourself drift into the same dreams that carried them. Let yourself surrender to the same calm that soothed them. The night is vast, but it is gentle. It gathers all. It carries all. It holds all. And it holds you now, deeper and deeper, into rest. To think of sleep long ago is to think of connection, connection to others, to the earth, to the turning of seasons, to the mysteries of the night. Sleep was not an interruption of life, but a part of it, woven into the fabric of existence. It carried the laborer, the noble, the monk, the child, each into the same stillness, each into the same surrender. Imagine yourself moving through that rhythm once more. The fire has been lowered, the last embers glowing faintly. The room smells of smoke and straw, the faint fragrance of herbs lingering in the bedding. Children are already sleeping, their breaths soft and steady. Adults whisper their last words, their voices fading until silence settles. A blanket of wool lies heavy across your body, grounding you, pressing you deeper into the bed. The straw beneath shifts, uneven but familiar. You close your eyes, and the night folds itself around you. Beyond the walls, the sounds of the earth continue. An owl calls once, then again, its voice hollow and haunting. The wind moves across the fields, bending grass and branches, carrying the night forward. A wolf cries in the distance, its sound both lonely and eternal. These voices do not disturb you. They remind you that the world is alive, that you are part of it, that sleep is not solitude but harmony. Close your eyes now and feel that harmony surrounding you, the warmth of others near you, the sound of breathing rising and falling like waves, the faint creak of beams, the quiet sigh of the wind, the smell of herbs calming the mind. Everything is part of the same rhythm, the same pattern, the same gentle tide carrying you deeper. Nothing stands apart. Nothing breaks the stillness. It all belongs. Dreams come slowly, carrying fragments of sound and scent into visions. The call of an owl becomes a whisper. The glow of embers becomes a lantern in a dream. The smell of lavender becomes fields stretching endlessly. Dreams flow from the night itself, from the world beyond and the world within. You do not resist them. You do not hold them. You simply let them pass through you, carrying you from one shore of rest to another. And when you wake in the night, between the first and second sleep, you do not worry. You rise, stir the embers, whisper a prayer, or simply sit in silence, listening to the vastness outside. The night feels endless, but it is gentle. It does not press you. It does not demand. It holds you, gives you time, then carries you back into second sleep. There is no struggle, no tension, only surrender. Even now, in your own night, you can feel this same truth. Sleep does not need to be chased. It is already here, waiting. The night does not need to be controlled. It already carries you. You are part of the same rhythm that guided them long ago. Your breath is their breath. Your dreams are their dreams. The same night sky that watched over them watches over you now. Let yourself rest in that connection. Imagine yourself lying not in one moment, but in all moments. A thread in a tapestry of dreamers stretching back through centuries. Farmers who lay down after fields of work. Children curled against their parents. Monks whispering prayers before closing their eyes. Nobles behind curtains. Servants beside fires. Travelers in crowded inns. All surrendered to the same night, the same calm, the same sleep. And you, too, are part of them. Breathe slowly, deeply, and yield to that belonging. The night gathers you, as it always has. The world cradles you, as it always will. Sleep does not come from effort, but from trust. Trust the night. Trust your breath. Trust the rhythm of rest, just as they did 1,000 years ago. Let yourself surrender, and let sleep take you deeper, softer, endlessly onward. The story of how people slept 1,000 years ago is more than history. It is a reminder of simplicity, of surrender, of trust. They did not fight the night. They did not chase rest. They did not measure hours. They let the dark carry them. They let their bodies yield. They let their dreams rise and fade like mist. Sleep was not apart from life. It was part of its rhythm, as natural as breath, as steady as the turning of the earth. Imagine once more a winter night. The fire has burned to embers, the room dim and cool. A family lies together, their breaths steady, their warmth shared. The straw shifts faintly as someone moves. A child murmurs softly, then settles again. Outside, the world is silent, but for the sigh of wind and the distant call of an animal. The night feels vast, yet safe. Within the room, there is nothing but closeness, nothing but calm. Sleep comes, not forced, not chased, but given freely, as it always has been. Now imagine summer. The window is open, warm air drifting in, the sound of insects humming in steady chorus. The day has been long, the body heavy with labor, the mind softened by fatigue. You lie down, the straw rough but grounding, the blanket light. Sleep comes swiftly, dreams bright and fleeting, the night short but enough. Morning arrives early, golden and alive, yet the rest you carry feels complete, shaped not by clocks, but by the simple rhythm of nature. And then imagine spring and autumn, the turning seasons shaping the nights. Rain tapping softly on rooftops, leaves whispering as wind moves through branches. Each sound blends with breath, with heartbeat, with dream. The world is alive, and you are part of it. Sleep comes easily, because it belongs not only to you, but to the earth itself. Close your eyes now, and feel that truth within you. Sleep is not something to capture, it is something to surrender to. The night does not ask you to chase it, it asks you to yield, just as they once did. You need only close your eyes, breathe slowly, and trust the rhythm. The body knows, the night knows, the rest will come. Think of the long chain of dreamers before you, peasants in cottages, nobles in castles, monks in stone halls, travelers in crowded inns, all of them surrendered to the same night, all of them carried by the same rhythm, all of them closing their eyes and drifting as you drift now. You are not separate from them. You are part of the same story, the same humanity, the same endless pattern of rest. And as you breathe now, you feel that connection. You belong to the night as they did. You are cradled by it as they were. You are carried by it as they always were. The world softens, your body loosens, your mind drifts. Dreams wait for you, gentle and endless, born of the same mysteries that filled their nights. Let yourself sink into that belonging. Let yourself surrender, not with effort, but with trust. The night holds you, the world carries you, and sleep comes like a tide, steady, certain, endless. Just as it did for them, it comes for you now. Breathe slowly, deeply, and let go. You are safe. You are held. You are carried. 1,000 years ago, they slept as you do now. 1,000 years from now, others will sleep the same. The night is timeless, and within it you find your place. Close your eyes, surrender, and drift softly, gently, into the endless calm of sleep. When night fell 1,000 years ago, it was not broken by the harsh glow of lamps or the restless glow of screens. Darkness was vast and complete, a presence that filled the world. People moved slowly, softly, guided by firelight or moonlight, until sleep drew them down. And yet, sleep did not come as one single stretch. It unfolded in two parts, a rhythm now almost forgotten, but once as natural as the changing of the seasons. The first sleep was deep and heavy, after the labor of the day, after tending fields, mending tools, caring for animals, or guarding the household bodies, yielded to exhaustion. People lay down on straw or on feather mattresses, wrapped in wool or fur, their muscles sore, their minds heavy, and within moments they were carried away. Hours passed unnoticed, the body sinking into stillness. the mind drifting into the deep waters of rest. Then, sometime in the middle of the night, people stirred, not all at once, not as if woken by noise, but as if the body itself had decided it had rested enough for now. They opened their eyes to the dim glow of embers, to the sound of wind pressing against the walls, to the breathing of others nearby. This waking was not a failure of sleep. It was a natural pause, accepted and even welcomed. In those quiet hours, time felt different. There was no rush, no urgency, no guilt for being awake. It was simply part of the night. Some rose from their beds, walking softly across wooden floors or earthen ground. They might stir the fire, coaxing flame from ash, watching as light flickered once more. Some prayed, believing that these still hours of the night were closest to the divine, when the world was silent and the heart most open. Others spoke in whispers, voices barely rising above the hush. A husband and wife might share words they had no chance to speak during the long day of labor. Parents might check on children, covering them with blankets, tucking them against the cold. In homes where there were books, where there was the rare gift of literacy, some read by candlelight or wrote their thoughts onto parchment, but most simply sat in the stillness, listening to the night as it passed gently around them. And after this interval, the body longed again for rest. People slipped back into their beds, pulling blankets close, pressing against one another for warmth. The second sleep began. It was lighter than the first, softer, filled with dreams. In these hours, minds wandered into strange visions, into landscapes both comforting and strange. People believed these dreams held meaning, that they carried messages, warnings, or guidance. In monasteries, monks recorded dreams with care, noting their symbols, their patterns. Among ordinary people, dreams were spoken of in the morning, remembered as signs, sometimes feared, sometimes cherished. The second sleep carried them gently until the first gray light touched the horizon, until roosters crowed, until the day returned. It was a rhythm so natural, so common, that no one questioned it. To wake in the night was no cause for anxiety, no reason for restlessness. It was simply what the body did, and the body returned again to sleep when it was ready. Close your eyes now, and imagine living in that rhythm. Imagine surrendering to the first heavy sleep, waking softly in the stillness, resting in silence, and then sinking into dreams once more. No clocks, no alarms, no bright lights to resist, only the slow turning of the earth, the quiet presence of darkness, the body moving in harmony with the night. Let yourself feel how natural, how simple, how timeless it is, and let that rhythm carry you now, as it carried them deeper and deeper into calm. When eyes opened in the middle of the night, the world felt different. The deep, heavy silence that followed the first sleep was not unsettling. It was natural, expected part of the slow rhythm of life. There was no sense of failure in waking, no frustration at the body for stirring. Instead, it was a gentle pause, a time that belonged to no one but the sleeper and the night itself. Imagine lying there, listening to the soft chorus of breathing around you, the faint crackle of embers still glowing in the hearth, the wooden beams creaking quietly as they settled in the cool air. Outside, the distant call of an owl or the rustle of branches might remind you of the living night beyond the walls. You rise not with urgency, but with calm, slipping quietly from the bed, your feet touching the cool floor, your breath clouding faintly in the cold air. You add a piece of wood to the fire, watching as sparks rise and flames lick at the logs. The warmth returns slowly, filling the room with a faint orange glow. The shadows dance across the walls, long and soft, as if the night itself is moving around you. In this moment, you are not rushing toward dawn. Time feels suspended, endless, as though the night could stretch on forever. Some people used this interval for prayer, speaking quietly into the stillness, believing that God listened most closely in the hours when the world was silent. Others whispered to a loved one, their words hushed, carried gently by the darkness. The quiet conversations of these hours were often tender, private, unlike anything said in the bustle of the day. In these moments, people were most themselves, unguarded, wrapped in the intimacy of the night. For some, it was a time of small tasks. A mother might mend clothing by firelight, her hands moving slowly, carefully. Her father might check on animals, stepping outside into the cold air, his breath mixing with the mist of night. A child who stirred might be soothed back into sleep, tucked closer against the warmth of a blanket. All of this unfolded in a rhythm that felt unhurried, as if the night gave permission to linger. After an hour, perhaps two, the body called again. Blankets were pulled close, eyes grew heavy, and slowly, softly, the second sleep began. This was a different kind of rest. The first sleep was deep, heavy, physical. The second was lighter, dream-filled, carrying the mind into places beyond the ordinary world. People woke in the morning with fragments of those dreams still fresh, their images lingering like mist. Dreams were important then. They were not brushed aside as meaningless, but often spoken of, remembered, pondered. Some saw them as messages, signs from God, or glimpses of the future. In monasteries, monks carefully recorded dreams, writing their symbols and meanings in quiet script. Among ordinary people, dreams were shared in the morning as stories, warnings, or blessings. The night was not just a time for rest, it was a time for visions. The second sleep carried the sleeper gently toward dawn. The mind wandered in dreams, the body softened into rest, and slowly the blackness of night gave way to the grey light of morning. Roosters crowed, animals stirred, the air shifted with the sounds of life returning. And when people woke, they woke with the rhythm of the earth, not the command of an alarm. They rose because the sun rose, because the day had come, because the world had turned once more. Close your eyes now, and imagine that same rhythm guiding you. A first deep sleep, heavy and full. A gentle waking, calm and unhurried. A second sleep, soft and dream-filled. And finally, the slow, natural rising of the sun. Let yourself feel how simple, how peaceful, how timeless that pattern is. Allow it to carry you deeper, softer, further into rest. The night was not something to be controlled or forced into shape. 1,000 years ago, people did not imagine that sleep should be unbroken, sealed from beginning to end. They accepted its flow, its rise and fall, the way it came and went like the tide. The body gave itself first to deep rest, then to quiet wakefulness, then again to softer dreams. It was a rhythm as natural as breathing, trusted and never questioned. Imagine yourself lying in that world. The first sleep has ended, and you have woken gently. The fire glows low, a faint red in the dark. You rise, stretch, perhaps drink a little water, and then you sit quietly in the stillness. There is no pressure to force yourself back into slumber. The night is long, and it belongs to you. Your mind is calm, your body steady. The silence presses softly against you, like a blanket, heavy yet comforting. You may whisper a prayer, words drifting into the dark, rising toward the unseen sky. You may speak quietly to a loved one, voices low, almost lost in the hush. You may simply sit, eyes half closed, listening to the faint sounds around you, the breathing of others, the slow settling of wood, the soft sigh of the wind outside. This time between sleeps feels almost sacred, a hidden gift that belongs only to those who live within it. And then, as the minutes pass, your eyelids grow heavy again. You slip back beneath your blanket, curling closer against the cold, drawing warmth from those around you. The second sleep takes you, lighter this time, dream-filled, soft as mist. In this second sleep, visions arrive. Perhaps you dream of fields golden with wheat, or of a path through the forest where shadows stretch endlessly. Perhaps you see the faces of loved ones, or hear voices that speak without words. Dreams wander through the mind like travelers, leaving fragments behind when morning comes. And in those days, these dreams were not ignored. They were remembered, spoken of, pondered. Some believed they carried messages from God, or warnings of danger, or glimpses of what was yet to come. Dreams were woven into the rhythm of life as much as waking itself. Picture the morning after such a night. The pale light of dawn slips through the cracks in the wall, soft and grey. Roosters crow, animals stir, neighbors begin to move about outside. You rise slowly, without alarm, without urgency. The night has given you its gift, and now the day begins. You stretch, you breathe, you prepare to meet the tasks ahead. But the memory of the night lingers, the deep first sleep, the quiet waking, the soft return to dreams. That rhythm has carried you, restored you, readied you. There is something profoundly human in that pattern, something we have forgotten. Today, we chase uninterrupted sleep. We panic when we wake in the middle of the night. But long ago, it was different. Waking was part of the design, part of the night's natural shape. People did not fight it. They accepted it, moved with it, allowed it to pass. And because of that acceptance, sleep itself was not fragile. It was steady, flowing, generous. Close your eyes now and imagine living within that rhythm. The first sleep, heavy and grounding. The gentle waking, filled with stillness. The second sleep, lighter, more dream-filled. The slow rising with the sun, calm and unhurried. Let yourself feel how peaceful that is, how simple, how deeply human. As you breathe slowly, deeply, allow yourself to sink into that same timeless pattern. Let your body rest as theirs did, carried by the rhythm of night, carried by the silence, carried by dreams. And know that just as they found rest 1,000 years ago, so too can you, here now, in this quiet moment. Imagine lying in a bed that is not quite like the ones we know today. 1,000 years ago, a bed could be as simple as straw piled on the floor, or as elaborate as a carved wooden frame draped with heavy curtains. Sleep was shaped not only by the body's rhythm, but by the materials at hand, the sense of the room, the closeness of others, the quiet weight of the night. For most people, beds were humble. Straw gathered from the fields, laid in piles, covered with rough cloth. The straw crunched softly when someone shifted, releasing a faint, earthy smell, familiar and grounding. Families curled together in such bedding, their warmth pressed close, their breath rising and falling in rhythm. A wool blanket might be pulled over them, coarse against the skin, but warm enough to keep away the chill. In the darkest months of winter, animal skins might be spread across the bed, heavy and soft, trapping the heat of the bodies beneath. Wealthier households offered something different. Wooden frames raised sleepers above the floor, ropes woven tightly across the frame to support a mattress. The mattress might be stuffed with wool, or feathers, or reeds, layered carefully for comfort. The ropes creaked when someone moved, a low, steady sound that became part of the night. Over time, the ropes stretched, and the bed needed tightening. The phrase "sleep tight" comes from this act. The ropes pulled taut to hold the mattress firm. Around these beds, curtains could be drawn, shutting out drafts from stone walls, holding warmth within, creating a cocoon of shadow and silence. And yet, whether rich or poor, sleep carried the same essence. Straw or feathers, wool or silk, the body curled into itself, surrendered to the darkness, drifted into stillness. The bed was less about comfort and more about necessity, place, but it still offered a place of rest, a refuge from the cold, a pause from the labor of the day. Close your eyes now and imagine yourself lying in such a bed. The straw shifts beneath you, uneven but familiar. The smell of hay lingers faintly, mixed with the smoke of the hearth, the scent of wool blankets, the coolness of stone or wood around you. Perhaps herbs have been tucked into the bedding, lavender, rosemary, sage fragrances thought to keep insects away, to soothe the mind, to protect against illness. Those scents drift upward as you breathe, mingling with the warmth of the room, sinking into your thoughts as you drift toward sleep. The sounds of the night surround you. The faint crack of a log in the hearth, the sigh of wind pressing against the walls, the steady breathing of others in the room. In a cottage, perhaps the snore of a parent, the soft murmur of a child in dreams. In a castle, perhaps the shifting of a servant near the fire, the distant echo of guards' footsteps on stone. These sounds are not interruptions. They are the music of the night, a steady rhythm that reassures you that life moves on around you, even as you rest. There was little solitude in sleep. Few had the luxury of a room of their own. Families shared, travelers shared, even strangers pressed together in crowded inns, their bodies tangled not from choice, but from necessity. It was warmth that mattered, safety that mattered, not privacy. The closeness of others was a comfort, a shield against the vast and endless dark. And so, the bed was not just a place for one, but a space for many. A reminder that rest was a shared experience, as deeply human as breath itself. Let yourself imagine that closeness, the warmth of another beside you, the sound of their breath steady, the reassurance of presence in the dark. The night is large, but within this shared space, you are safe. The body softens, the mind drifts, and sleep comes not in silence alone, but in the harmony of many lives resting together. And beyond the walls, the world continues. The stars move slowly across the sky. The moon drifts in silence. The forests murmur with unseen creatures. But inside, beneath blankets, on straw or feathers, on ropes or reeds, you are carried into dreams, just as they were 1,000 years ago. The feel of sleep long ago was shaped as much by the bed as by the world around it. Imagine the rough texture of wool against your skin, scratchy but warm, heavy enough to press you down into stillness. The straw beneath you shifts softly when you move, its faint, earthy scent mingling with the smoke of the fire. Perhaps the mattress has been stuffed with reeds or feathers, and as you sink into it, you feel the uneven give of the material, the small movements of a bed that has held many bodies before yours. These details, humble and simple, were the quiet foundation of sleep 1,000 years ago. In homes where herbs were tucked into bedding, the air carried their fragrance, lavender thought to bring calm, rosemary said to guard against evil, sage used for cleansing. These scents drifted up as people rested, weaving themselves into dreams. The knowledge of herbs was passed through generations, a part of life as natural as tending the fire or drawing water. Sleep was not just the body surrendering to night, it was also a ritual of comfort, shaped by the small protections of nature. Imagine now the presence of others near you. Privacy, as we know it, did not exist in most homes. Children nestled against parents, siblings pressed close together, grandparents sharing the same space. In inns, strangers lay side by side, the smell of travel clinging to their clothes, their exhaustion too heavy for complaint. It was not always comfortable, but it was expected. The warmth of another body was more valuable than solitude. The rhythm of breathing, the occasional cough, the gentle turning of someone in the dark, all of it was part of the night. In noble households, there was more distance, but never true solitude. Servants slept close by, ready to answer a call. Guards rested within earshot, their presence both reassuring and a reminder of danger. Even in the vast chambers of castles, with thick curtains around the beds. There was always a sense of being surrounded by others. Sleep was rarely a private act. It was communal, woven into the fabric of survival, of safety, of human closeness. Close your eyes now and imagine yourself sinking into such a night. The weight of wool settles across your body. The faint scent of herbs drifts upward. The breathing of others surrounds you. The bed creaks softly beneath the shifting of weight. The fire glows faintly across the room. Shadows flicker on the walls. There is no need for silence, no need for perfection. The night carries you despite its noises, despite its imperfections. Sleep comes not from control, but from surrender. Outside the walls, the world is alive in its own way. Wolves call in the distance, their cries echoing across hills. Owls sweep silently through the forests, their wings cutting the air. The wind moves the trees, branches bending and sighing. These sounds are reminders of the vastness beyond, of the wild that begins where the home ends. And yet, inside there is warmth. Inside there is safety. The sounds of the wild remain far away, softened by walls, by blankets, by the presence of others. Think of how deeply human it is to find rest in such conditions, to sleep not in silence, not in solitude, but in the closeness of family, in the protection of walls, in the company of night itself. The imperfections of the bed, the roughness of the blanket, the sound of others, the movement of the wind, all of these were not obstacles, but part of the rhythm of rest. People accepted them, yielded to them, and sleep carried them all the same. Now let yourself feel that acceptance. Let go of the idea of perfect stillness, of perfect silence, of perfect comfort. Imagine instead that you are lying in a bed of straw, uneven but warm, with the breath of others rising and falling around you. Imagine the scent of herbs drifting softly in the dark, the fire glowing faintly, the world outside humming with life. And in this imperfect but deeply human space, you surrender to the night, just as they did, letting it hold you, letting it carry you, letting it guide you gently into dreams. Think of the way a bed cradled the body 1,000 years ago. It was not uniform, not manufactured to precision, but built from what was near at hand. Straw gathered after harvest, reeds pulled from riverbanks, wool shorn from sheep, feathers collected carefully. Each material told the story of the land, of the season, of the household that used it. To lie down was to rest not only on a bed, but on the labor of the day, the gifts of the earth, the quiet work of human hands. Close your eyes and picture yourself sinking into such a bed. The straw shifts beneath you, uneven but yielding. It rustles faintly, like dry leaves in autumn, the sound soft and low. A blanket of wool lies across you, coarse against the skin, but heavy, grounding, pressing you into calm. The faint smoke of the hearth lingers in the air, mixing with the earthy scent of hay and the sharper fragrance of herbs tucked into the bedding. Each breath carries you further into stillness, the world around you fading until only the bed remains. For the wealthy, Sleep was wrapped in layers of fabric, linen sheets, smooth and cool, quilts filled with feathers, light yet warm, curtains pulled around the bed, shutting out drafts, dimming the flicker of the fire. Inside such a cocoon, the world outside disappeared. But even there, the essence of sleep was the same. The body softened, the breath deepened, the mind slipped into dreams. Rich or poor, all followed the same rhythm, surrendering to the same silence. In those nights, sleep was rarely solitary. Families huddled close, bodies pressed together for warmth. Children nestled into their parents' sides, grandparents curled at the edge, siblings whispering before drifting into slumber. In inns, strangers shared beds, their exhaustion greater than their discomfort, their need for warmth stronger than their desire for distance. And though the closeness may seem strange to us now, it was a comfort then. The night was vast, the dark filled with uncertainty, but within that circle of shared sleep, there was safety. Imagine that closeness now. The warmth of another body near yours, the steady rhythm of their breathing, the reassurance that you are not alone in the night. The sound of a sigh, the shift of weight on the straw, the murmur of a dream half-spoken. These are not disturbances. They are lullabies. They are the reminders that you are safe, that you are held in the company of others, that the darkness outside cannot reach you here. Bend beyond the walls. The world continued. The stars shone in brilliance, unchallenged by artificial light, vast and endless above. The moon drifted slowly, pale and constant, casting silver over fields and forests. The wind moved across the land, carrying the sounds of creatures stirring in the dark. But inside, within the bed, within the circle of warmth, the world was small, steady, calm. The night belonged to those who slept, and sleep carried them as gently as the tide. Let yourself drift into that world. Feel the uneven straw beneath you, the weight of wool above you, the faint smell of herbs, the quiet breathing of others around you. Hear the distant sigh of wind, the muffled sound of embers in the hearth, the soft chorus of life at rest. There is nothing to do, nothing to fear, nothing to resist. There is only the night carrying you, as it carried them, deeper and deeper into stillness. And as dreams arrive, they come not as distractions, but as companions. Faces, voices, landscapes, fragments of memory, whispers of something beyond. Dreams were cherished then, treated as messages, as mysteries, as gifts, each one a thread in the long tapestry of the night. And when morning came, when the first light slipped into the room, when roosters crowed and neighbors stirred, the dreams faded like mist, leaving behind only a feeling, a trace, a quiet sense of having been carried far and safely returned. Breathe now, slowly, deeply, and let that same rhythm guide you. Let the night hold you as it held them. Let the bed, simple or grand, carry your weight. Let the sounds of sleep surround you. Let the darkness wrap around you, and surrender, as they once did, to the timeless gift of rest. Think of the way a bed cradled the body 1,000 years ago. It was not uniform. not manufactured to precision, but built from what was near at hand. Straw gathered after harvest, reeds pulled from riverbanks, wool shorn from sheep, feathers collected carefully. Each material told the story of the land, of the season, of the household that used it. To lie down was to rest not only on a bed, but on the labor of the day, the gifts of the earth, the quiet work of human hands. Close your eyes and picture yourself sinking into such a bed. The straw shifts beneath you, uneven but yielding. It rustles faintly, like dry leaves in autumn, the sound soft and low. A blanket of wool lies across you, coarse against the skin, but heavy, grounding, pressing you into calm. The faint smoke of the hearth lingers in the air, mixing with the earthy scent of hay and the sharper fragrance of herbs tucked into the bedding. Each breath carries you further into stillness, the world around you fading until only the bed remains. For the wealthy, sleep was wrapped in layers of fabric, linen sheets, smooth and cool, quilts filled with feathers, light yet warm, curtains pulled around the bed, shutting out drafts, dimming the flicker of the fire. Inside such a cocoon, the world outside disappeared. But even there, the essence of sleep was the same. The body softened, the breath deepened, the mind slipped into dreams. Rich or poor, all followed the same rhythm, surrendering to the same silence. In those nights, sleep was rarely solitary. Families huddled close, bodies pressed together for warmth. Children nestled into their parents' sides, grandparents curled at the edge, siblings whispering before drifting into slumber. In inns, strangers shared beds, their exhaustion greater than their discomfort, their need for warmth stronger than their desire for distance. And though the closeness may seem strange to us now, it was a comfort then. The night was vast, the dark filled with uncertainty, but within that circle of shared sleep there was safety. Imagine that closeness now, the warmth of another body near yours, the steady rhythm of their breathing, the reassurance that you are not alone in the night. The sound of a sigh, the shift of weight on the straw, the murmur of a dream half-spoken. These are not disturbances. They are lullabies. They are the reminders that you are safe, that you are held in the company of others, that the darkness outside cannot reach you here. Bend beyond the walls. The world continued. The stars shone in brilliance, unchallenged by artificial light, vast and endless above. The moon drifted slowly, pale and constant, casting silver over fields and forests. The wind moved across the land, carrying the sounds of creatures stirring in the dark. But inside, within the bed, within the circle of warmth, the world was small, steady, calm. The night belonged to those who slept, and sleep carried them as gently as the tide. Let yourself drift into that world. Feel the uneven straw beneath you, the weight of wool above you, the faint smell of herbs, the quiet breathing of others around you. Hear the distant sigh of wind, the muffled sound of embers in the hearth, the soft chorus of life at rest. There is nothing to do, nothing to fear, nothing to resist. There is only the night carrying you, as it carried them deeper and deeper into stillness. And as dreams arrive, they come not as distractions, but as companions. Faces, voices, landscapes, fragments of memory, whispers of something beyond. Dreams were cherished then, treated as messages, as mysteries, as gifts, each one a thread in the long tapestry of the night. And when morning came, when the first light slipped into the room, when roosters crowed and neighbors stirred, the dreams faded like mist, leaving behind only a feeling, a trace, a quiet sense of having been carried far and safely returned. Breathe now, slowly, deeply, and let that same rhythm guide you. Let the night hold you as it held them. Let the bed, simple or grand, carry your weight. Let the sounds of sleep surround you. Let the darkness wrap around you, and surrender, as they once did, to the timeless gift of rest. Sleep 1,000 years ago was not an act of solitude. It was something shared, something woven into the closeness of human lives. To rest was often to press against another body, to listen to the slow rhythm of another's breath, to surrender to the night in the company of family, of servants, even of strangers. The idea of privacy, the notion of a room set apart only for one person, was rare. For most, the night belonged not to the individual, but to the group. Picture a small wooden cottage, the air cool, the fire fading low in the hearth. A mother lies on one side, her children curled against her, their tiny breaths steady and soft. A father shifts in his sleep, his arm spread protectively across the family. In a corner, an elder rests, her body curled, her face turned toward the warmth. The room is filled with the sound of breathing, the quiet chorus of many lives drifting together into slumber. Each exhale is like a tide, rising and falling in gentle harmony. In wealthier homes, the rooms were larger, but the essence remained the same. Husbands and wives shared beds, often with their children nestled close. Servants might sleep on pallets nearby, ready to wake at the smallest call. Curtains could be drawn around the main bed, creating a cocoon of warmth. But even then, the sound of others lingered in the room. The night was not silent, and it was not private. It was shared, always shared. And in inns, the closeness was even more profound. Travelers, weary from long roads, often found themselves pressed shoulder to shoulder with strangers, 3, 4, sometimes more in a single bed, their exhaustion greater than any discomfort. The smell of hay, of sweat, of smoke clung to the air, but no one complained. Warmth mattered more than distance. Safety mattered more than solitude. Sleep was survival, and to share a bed was to share life itself. Close your eyes and imagine yourself there. The straw beneath you shifts as others turn. The weight of a blanket settles across several bodies at once. You feel the warmth of someone beside you, the steady rhythm of their chest rising and falling. Perhaps a child murmurs in their sleep, a sound so soft it blends into the night. Perhaps someone coughs faintly, then grows quiet again. None of it disturbs you. It reassures you. It tells you that you are not alone, that the night is not empty, that others are near. Outside those walls, darkness stretched vast and uncertain. Wolves called in the distance, their cries echoing across fields and forests. The wind moved the trees, branches creaking in the cold air. Shadows deepened across the land, and many feared what might hide within them. Spirits, thieves, wild animals, dangers unseen. But inside, in the company of others, there was safety. Within the circle of breathing, warmth, and shared rest, the vastness of the night lost its power. The dark could not touch you, not while you lay among your own. Even in great castles, where stone walls rose high and curtains hung heavy, the same truth remained. Servants dozed by the fire, guards leaned against walls, nobles rested in curtained beds. Sleep was never solitary. It was always surrounded, always layered with the presence of others. The night held not one dreamer, but many, gathered together beneath its endless sky. Think now of how different it feels from the world you know. Today, we close doors, we seek silence, we separate ourselves in the hope of perfect rest. But long ago, perfection was not sought. Closeness was the comfort, and sleep was steady, strong, certain. The presence of others was not distraction, it was reassurance. Let yourself feel that closeness now. Imagine lying in a room where the night is shared, the warmth of another body near yours, the sound of many breaths blending into one rhythm, the faint creak of straw, the hush of embers fading in the hearth. The night is vast outside, but inside you are safe. The darkness cannot reach you here. You are surrounded, protected, carried by the rhythm of shared sleep. Breathe slowly, deeply, and let that feeling settle into you. The nearness, the safety, the harmony of many lives resting together, just as they once did. Let yourself surrender to the night, to the closeness of others, to the deep and timeless calm of shared rest. The closeness of sleep 1,000 years ago was more than just necessity. It was a form of comfort, a silent bond shared in the dark. To rest with others was to feel part of something larger, to know that you belonged to a circle of warmth and safety. Imagine the room again, filled with the slow rhythm of breath. Some breaths are deep and steady, others light and uneven, but together they weave a pattern, a gentle chorus that carries you deeper into calm. The fire burns low, the last logs glowing faintly, casting long shadows that dance along the walls. In that dim light, faces soften, eyes closed, features blurred by the hush of night. A child turns in their sleep, murmuring faintly, then settling again into silence. Someone coughs softly, shifting on the straw, the sound blending easily into the stillness. These little noises are not interruptions. They are the proof of life, the evidence of togetherness. Outside, the world continues with its own rhythm. The wind slides across the fields, carrying the rustle of branches. An owl calls in the distance, its voice low and haunting. A dog barks once, then falls silent again. The night is vast, but here, inside, it feels smaller, contained, softened by the walls and the presence of others. You know that beyond the walls shadows stretch, but here you are cocooned in warmth, in sound, in the simple music of sleep. Think of the way the body responds to this closeness. The warmth of another person beside you, the steady rise and fall of their chest, the subtle movements as they turn. These sensations do not disturb you. They soothe you. They remind you that you are not alone, that you are surrounded, that you are safe. In a time when night was feared, when dangers were thought to creep in the dark, this closeness gave courage. Together, people could surrender to the night without fear. In inns, the closeness was less intimate, yet no less human. Strangers pressed side by side, their bodies heavy with exhaustion after long days of travel. The smell of dust, sweat, and hay filled the air, but the need for rest was stronger than discomfort. In these crowded rooms, the noise of shifting bodies and soft snores created a hum, a constant rhythm that lulled weary travelers into dreams. To wake in the night and hear the sound of others nearby was to be reassured, to know that the darkness outside was kept at bay by the presence of many. Even in castles, where nobility drew curtains around their beds, the truth was the same. Servants lay close, guards dozed at their posts. The faint sounds of movement echoed in the great halls. The night never belonged to one person alone. Sleep was always shared, always a communal act. Even in places built of stone and guarded by walls, the sound of others carried through the air, reminding every sleeper that they were part of something larger than themselves. Close your eyes now, and let yourself imagine this closeness wrapping around you. Feel the warmth of a body beside yours. Hear the gentle breath rising and falling. Sense the slow movement of others in the room. Let the presence of many lives at rest become a blanket of its own, heavier and softer than any wool or fur. The room breathes with you, and you breathe with the room. Together you drift deeper, carried by the same tide. The night stretches on outside, stars wheeling slowly across the sky, the moon drifting in silence. But inside, the night feels steady, smaller, almost hushed. You do not need to face the dark alone. You are part of a circle, a gathering, a harmony of rest. The sound of breathing, the warmth of others, the faint light of embers, all of it surrounds you. All of it carries you. All of it keeps you safe. Let yourself sink into that feeling now. Let the thought of solitude fade. Imagine the closeness, the warmth, the reassurance of many resting together, just as they did 1,000 years ago. Allow yourself to surrender, not alone but surrounded, not separate but connected, not afraid but comforted. The night is vast, but you are held within it, and sleep carries you deeper, softer, endlessly onward. The night was never silent, never truly empty. It was filled with the sound of breathing, the soft weight of bodies pressing against straw, the creak of wood shifting in the cold, the faint crackle of fire as it burned low. These were not noises to keep people awake. They were part of the fabric of sleep itself. To share a bed, to share a room, to share the night was not only common, it was expected. It was what gave the darkness its gentleness, its safety, its warmth. Picture yourself lying in such a space. The air is cool, touched by smoke and a faint scent of herbs tucked into bedding. You feel the straw beneath you shift softly as someone beside you turns. A child murmurs in their sleep, their small hand brushing against your arm. Another sighs, settling deeper beneath the blanket. These tiny moments, these quiet sounds, are the music of the night. They reassure you that life surrounds you, that you are not alone, that the night is shared. For the poor, this closeness was necessity. Families huddled together for warmth, their bodies pressed close against the cold. For the wealthy, it was shaped differently, but never absent. Nobles lay in curtained beds, their servants sleeping nearby. Guards dozed not far away, their presence both protective and constant. Even in the grandeur of castles, sleep was layered with the nearness of others. In the crowded inns where travelers gathered, the closeness was greatest of all. Strangers lay side by side, their exhaustion washing away the strangeness of unfamiliar bodies. The room hummed with quiet snores, with the shifting of limbs, with the sigh of many breaths rising together. It was not silence that carried them into sleep, but this harmony of human presence, this steady rhythm that joined them together in rest. Think of how this would feel. The warmth of another body against yours. The sound of many breaths weaving into one endless tide. The simple reassurance of being surrounded. Today we think of sleep as solitary, private, carefully guarded by walls and doors. But then, sleep was something shared, a reminder that survival itself was bound to closeness. Alone, the night might be frightening, filled with shadows and uncertainty. Together, the night was softer, safer, something to be surrendered to without fear. Close your eyes now and imagine sinking into that shared space. Feel the blanket covering not just you, but others as well. Hear the faint sound of someone shifting in the dark, the low murmur of another's dream. Let the nearness soothe you. Let it press against your fear. Let it carry you deeper into calm. The night outside may be vast, but here, within the circle of many lives, you are safe. Beyond the walls, the stars shine brilliantly, scattered across a sky unbroken by artificial light. The moon drifts slowly, casting silver across fields and forests. The wind moves through the trees, bending branches, carrying with it the distant sounds of animals. But all of that feels far away. Inside, the night is small, contained, softened by warmth and breath and presence. The wildness of the world cannot reach you here. As sleep deepens, the sense of closeness fades into dreams. Bodies shift, blankets rise and fall, but the rhythm continues. Dreams spread through the room, each sleeper wandering through visions of their own. Yet all of them carried together by the same tide of night. When morning comes, they will wake slowly, the pale light slipping into the room, the roosters crowing, the day unfolding. But for now, the night holds them all together in silence and in safety. Let yourself drift into that same rhythm now. Imagine the warmth, the breath, the closeness, the reassurance that comes from being surrounded. Let it press against you like a blanket, soft and heavy. Let it remind you that you are not alone in the night. Let the sound of others' breathing become your lullaby, steady and endless, guiding you deeper and deeper into calm. And just as they once did 1,000 years ago, allow yourself to surrender, to drift, to rest in the timeless comfort of shared sleep. The rhythm of night 1,000 years ago was shaped not only by homes and families, but also by the natural world beyond the walls. Darkness was larger than deeper, unbroken by artificial light. When the sun set, the world was truly veiled. Villages vanished into shadow, forests turned into vast black seas, and the sky became a dome of endless stars. Sleep was guided not by clocks, but by the heavens themselves. Imagine the sky of a medieval night without city lights. The stars burned brighter, thousands upon thousands glittering above. The Milky Way stretched clearly across the heavens, a pale ribbon of light cutting through the black. The moon drifted silently, silver and soft, its glow spilling across the fields, the forests, the rooftops of villages. To step outside at night was to feel the immensity of the world, to know how small and fragile you were beneath the endless sky. This vastness shaped the way people thought of sleep. The night was not only a time of rest, but a time of mystery. Shadows seemed alive, carrying both wonder and fear. In the darkness, imaginations stirred. People told stories of spirits wandering, of witches flying, of creatures moving unseen. The night was a place of danger, but also of dreams. And so, when they curled beneath their blankets, they were not only protecting themselves from the cold, they were seeking safety from the vastness outside. Picture yourself in that time, lying in a bed of straw, the faint glow of the hearth flickering against the wall. Outside, the forest stretches endless, the wind bending the trees, the shadows shifting across the land. The sound of an owl echoes, low and haunting. The cry of a wolf carries faintly through the night. Yet inside, beneath the blanket, pressed close to others, you are safe. The vastness outside feels distant, softened by the warmth and presence of those around you. The stars above were also guides. Farmers watched the sky to mark the seasons. Sailors read the stars to navigate the seas. Monks recorded their movements to measure the passage of time. To lie awake in the night between the first and second sleep was often to look upward, to see in the stars a language older than words. Imagine stepping quietly outside in those still hours, the ground cool beneath your feet, the air crisp and silent. Above you, the sky spreads wide, stars shimmering, the moon casting its pale glow. You stand beneath it, your breath rising in the cold, your thoughts quiet, your body heavy with rest. The vastness humbles you, calms you, cradles you, and when you return inside, you sink easily back into sleep, as though the night itself has guided you there. Close your eyes now and let yourself feel that same vastness. Imagine the sky above you, endless and filled with stars, the moon shining softly across the land. Imagine lying beneath it, wrapped in blankets, listening to the wind and the distant cries of the night. There is nothing to fear, for the vastness is part of the rhythm, part of the world carrying you. You are safe within it, small but protected, fragile but cherished. The night, with all its shadows and its stars, was not only a backdrop for sleep, it was part of it. People listened to its sounds, trusted its silence, dreamed under its vast sky. To sleep 1,000 years ago was to surrender not only to the body's need for rest, but to the earth, to the heavens, to the mystery of the night itself. And as you breathe slowly now, as your body softens, let that same surrender come to you. Let the vastness of night carry you, as it carried them deeper and deeper into rest. The night was not only a time of sleep, but a time of listening. 1,000 years ago, when the world was quieter, the sounds of the earth spoke more clearly. Without engines, without the constant hum of electricity, every sound mattered. The howl of a wolf carried for miles. The hoot of an owl echoed across fields. The sigh of wind through the trees was a presence that filled the dark. People lived close to these sounds, and they shaped the rhythm of rest. Imagine lying in a small cottage, the fire fading to red embers. The air grows colder, and the wooden walls creak softly as they adjust to the cool of night. Outside, the forest stirs. You hear the branches sway, leaves rustling like whispers. An owl calls once, then again, its voice lonely but steady. Farther off, a wolf lifts its cry into the darkness, and the sound lingers in the air before fading. These sounds do not jar you awake. They lull you, remind you that the world is alive even as you rest. The night was often feared, but it was also trusted. People believed spirits moved in the dark, that shadows might hold dangers unseen. Yet they also knew the night as a cycle, a time when the earth restored itself, when the body renewed. To surrender to sleep was to place yourself in harmony with that cycle, wrapped in blankets, pressed close to others. People felt both small and protected, fragile but secure. In the moments between first and second sleep, when eyes opened and the silence was deepest, the sounds of the night became companions. A mother might rise to stir the fire, listening to the soft crackle of wood catching flame again. A father might step outside, his breath misting in the cold air. Hearing the distant calls of animals and the soft rustle of the wind, he would look upward, the stars burning brightly, the moon casting silver across the fields, and he would return inside calm, reassured by the vast stillness. Even in cities, where homes pressed close together, the night carried its sounds. The faint clop of a horse's hooves on stone, the distant bark of a dog, the soft murmur of neighbors beyond thin walls. The world was never silent, but it was always quieter, always slower, always gentler than the day. That softness cradled people, carried them through the hours of rest. Close your eyes now and imagine those sounds surrounding you. The low creak of wood, the sigh of wind through trees, the call of an owl drifting across the night. You are wrapped in blankets, the warmth of others near you, your body heavy with stillness. Each sound blends into the rhythm of breath, into the steady lull of night. Nothing presses you forward, nothing calls you away. The world moves at its own slow pace, and you move with it, sinking deeper into calm. Dreams were born from these sounds as much as from memory. A howl in the distance might appear in a dream as a creature at the edge of a forest. The rustle of wind might become a whisper, carrying words not spoken. The faint creak of a house might echo in a dream as footsteps or voices. The boundary between the world outside and the world within was thin, and dreams drifted easily from one into the other. The second sleep carried these dreams gently, weaving them into visions that stayed until morning. When dawn finally touched the horizon, the sounds shifted again. The rooster crowed, animals stirred, neighbors called softly to one another. The rhythm of day replaced the rhythm of night, but the calm of rest remained, carried forward like a quiet echo. Breathe slowly now, and let yourself hear those sounds in your imagination. The wind in the trees, the crackle of embers, the rhythm of breath beside you. Let them surround you. Let them soften you. Let them remind you that night is not emptiness, but fullness, a living presence that cradles sleep, just as it did for them 1,000 years ago. Let the night carry you now, deeper and deeper into dreams. The night long ago was not broken into silence and noise, but into layers of sound that folded softly around those who rested. Each creak, each sigh, each distant call of an animal became part of the fabric of sleep. Nothing was sterile or manufactured. Every sound belonged to the living earth, and the people who lay beneath blankets accepted those sounds as companions. Imagine yourself there, lying in a bed of straw, the wool blanket heavy on your chest. The fire in the hearth has burned low, leaving only glowing embers that cast a faint red light across the room. Shadows waver against the wooden walls, soft and fluid, like dark water moving with the breath of the fire. Around you, others breathe, their chests rising and falling, their presence felt more than seen. The air is cool, tinged with smoke, tinged with the faint earthy smell of hay. You stir slightly, half awake, and you hear the night speaking. The timbers of the house creak as they settle. From outside, the soft cry of an owl echoes once, then fades into silence. In the distance, a dog barks, sharp but fleeting, its voice quickly swallowed by the vast darkness. Farther still, the haunting howl of a wolf rises, stretching across fields and forests before falling away. These sounds are not interruptions. They are the lullabies of the night, the reminders that the world is alive, moving, breathing, just as you are. In those days, people did not resist these moments of wakefulness. They accepted them, let them pass, let them blend into the rhythm of night. A mother might rise to place another log on the fire, the crackle of flame returning to life. A father might whisper a short prayer, his voice low, barely stirring the air. A child might shift, seeking warmth, curling closer against another body. These small movements filled the hours between sleeps, not with anxiety, but with quiet purpose. And when the second sleep began, The sounds of the night followed the dreamer into visions. The howl of the wolf became a shadow in a dream. The creak of timbers, a whispering voice. The crackle of fire, a flicker of light in some imagined place. The line between waking and dreaming was thin, blurred by the presence of the world itself. To dream, then, was not only to wander through the mind's memory, but also to wander through the echoes of the night. Morning always came slowly, naturally. The first pale light touched the sky. Roosters called. Animals stirred in their pens. The sounds shifted once more from the nocturnal calls of owls and wolves to the waking rhythm of village life. Neighbors' voices carried through the cool air. Water was drawn. Fires built high again. The people who had surrendered to the night rose with the sun, renewed not by silence alone, but by the gentle harmony of sounds that had carried. Ugh, sleep. Close your eyes now, and imagine that harmony around you. The faint breathing of others, steady and slow. The quiet shifting of straw as bodies move. The distant rustle of wind. The call of an owl. The far-off cry of a wolf. Each sound blends into the next, forming not a disturbance, but a lull. A steady hum that guides you deeper into rest. You do not resist it. You let it carry you, as they once did, into dreams that rise and fall with the music of the night. Breathe slowly, deeply, and let yourself be cradled by this rhythm, just as they were 1,000 years ago. Let yourself surrender to the closeness, to the sounds, to the vast but gentle presence of the night. The world is alive, moving softly around you, and within that life you are safe, warm, and carried deeper, deeper into sleep. The way people slept 1,000 years ago was shaped not only by their homes, their beds, and the closeness of family, but also by the rhythm of labor and life. Days were long, filled with work that demanded the body's full strength. When night arrived, sleep came not as an option, not as something chased or struggled for, but as a natural collapse into rest. The earth itself dictated the pace, and the people followed. Imagine a peasant at the end of a long day in the fields. The sun has burned hot. The body has bent and lifted and carried, the hands rough with work. By the time darkness settles, muscles ache with a heaviness that makes sleep inevitable. The bed may be nothing more than straw, uneven and scratchy, but the body does not resist. The weight of exhaustion pulls it down into the first deep rest. The night is not a struggle against wakefulness, is the body's surrender to necessity. In villages, the rhythm was communal. Families worked together, ate together, and slept together. The day's work left them tired in the same way. And when the fire dimmed, when the animals were fed, when the doors were closed, they lay down side by side. The room filled with the steady sound of sleep almost at once, as if the entire household breathed in unison, their exhaustion carrying them all into dreams. For wealthier households, the work was different, but the rhythm still followed. Nobles might spend their days in administration, in hunting, in the rituals of court, but even then, sleep came as naturally as breathing. Without artificial light to push back the dark, the day ended when the sun fell. Time was not stretched by glowing lamps, by endless noise. by hours stolen from the night. Darkness meant stillness, and stillness meant rest. Close your eyes and imagine that simplicity. The day ends, and so does the body. There is no struggle, no restless tossing, no anxious waiting for sleep to arrive. There is only the natural rhythm of exhaustion and surrender. You close your eyes, the warmth of blankets pressing down, the faint smell of smoke in the air, the presence of others around you. And like them, you drift without effort, carried by the weight of labor, by the heaviness of night. Even in monasteries, where life was ordered by prayer and ritual, sleep followed the same natural rhythm. Monks rose in the middle of the night to chant, to read, to pray, and then returned to their pallets to rest again. Their nights were marked not by anxiety, but by devotion and surrender. Sleep was both physical and spiritual, a cycle of rest and waking that felt holy, as if night itself was a sacred gift. The connection between work, rest, and sleep was direct. Bodies worked until they could do no more, and then they gave themselves to night without resistance. Today, we often chase sleep, worry about it, measure it, but then it simply was, as natural as the sun setting, as ordinary as water flowing, as inevitable as the seasons turning. Imagine the feeling of that inevitability, the body heavy, the mind quiet, the night pressing gently against the walls. You do not question whether you will sleep. You simply know that you will, because the day has ended and the night has come, and nothing more is required of you. The fire fades, the room grows dark, the sounds soften, and sleep takes you. Breathe slowly now, and let that simplicity settle into you. Let go of the thought of effort, of chasing, of forcing rest. Imagine the life of those before you, their days filled with work, their nights filled with surrender. Let yourself feel the same rhythm, the same inevitability. The night has come, and with it, sleep follows. Just as it did for them 1,000 years ago, so it does for you now. The rhythm of sleep in the past was shaped by necessity. People rose with the sun, not with alarms, and their days began early. Work started at first light, when the fields glowed pale under the dawn, or when the streets of a town slowly filled with footsteps and voices. By the time the sun set again, the body had given its strength to the earth, to labor, to survival. Sleep came because it had to. It was not something sought or managed, but something inevitable. Imagine finishing such a day. Your hands are sore, your back aches, your shoulders feel heavy. The warmth of the hearth is comforting, but it is not a place to linger for long. You eat your meal simple bread, perhaps some broth, perhaps a piece of meat or cheese, and then your body guides you to bed. There is no need to ask yourself if you will sleep, no need to wonder how many hours you will get. Your body knows. It has carried the weight of the day, and now it rests. For peasants, this rhythm was survival. They lived close to the earth, and their sleep was tied to the seasons. In summer, when the days were long, they rose earlier, worked later, and slept in shorter intervals, but always deeply. In winter, when the nights stretched long, they allowed themselves more rest, huddled in close with family, the fire glowing faintly through the hours of dark. Their sleep was not measured in numbers, but in cycles, in needs met, in bodies restored. In towns and cities, where craftsmen and merchants filled their days with work of a different kind, the rhythm was the same. The marketplace bustled from dawn to dusk, and when the doors were closed and the candles burned low, sleep carried them as naturally as breath. Even the wealthy, though shielded from hard labor, followed this same rhythm. Their nights began when the sun disappeared. The absence of light commanded stillness, and they obeyed it. Close your eyes now and imagine surrendering in the same way. Imagine living without clocks, without schedules, without the glow of artificial light. The day ends, the fire fades, the house grows quiet, and there is nothing left to do but rest. Your body is heavy, your breath is slow, the night presses gently against you. Sleep is not a question, not a pursuit. It is simply there, waiting, ready to take you as soon as your eyes close. Even those who lived under vows of devotion felt this natural pull. Monks rose during the night to chant and pray, but their hours of rest returned easily. They did not worry about whether they had slept enough. They trusted that their bodies, guided by rhythm, guided by practice, would take what was needed. Sleep was part of worship, part of discipline, part of a cycle as steady as the turning of the seasons. And so, the night unfolded in harmony with the day. The heavy work of daylight gave way to the heaviness of the body, and the body gave itself to rest. No anxiety lingered about sleep. No voices in the mind asked whether it would come, whether it would last, whether it would be enough. It was enough because it had to be. It was enough because it always came. Let yourself feel that certainty now. Imagine lying in a room dimly lit by fading embers, the sound of breath filling the space, the smell of wool and straw and smoke in the air. You close your eyes, and the day disappears. You do not chase rest. You do not fear it. You surrender, as they once did, knowing that night will always carry you, that morning will always return, that your body will always find the rhythm it needs. Breathe slowly, deeply, and let yourself fall into that same inevitability. Let go of the thought of effort. Let go of the thought of control. Sleep is not something to take. It is something to receive, as natural as the dark sky above you, as certain as the turning of the earth beneath you. Just as it did for them, so too does the night carry you now, by the rhythm of life. 1,000 years ago gave sleep its shape. Days were long, nights were dark, and the body yielded naturally to the cycle. There was no question of whether sleep would come. It always did. Work demanded it, nature dictated it, and people accepted it without resistance. Picture yourself at the close of such a day. The last light has faded, the fields have fallen silent, and the fire in the hearth glows low. You sit with others, eating your evening meal. The food is simple, filling, warm. Bread dipped in broth, perhaps a little cheese, perhaps dried meat. The air is cool, carrying the faint smell of smoke, the dampness of earth. Conversation is quiet. voices soft, for there is little energy left after the day. Soon the bowls are emptied, the fire is banked, and you move toward bed. There is no thought of stretching the night further, no temptation to keep the darkness at bay with endless light. Candles are precious, oil is precious, firewood is precious. To waste them would be folly. So the house grows dim, the shadows lengthen, and the body listens. Eyelids grow heavy, muscles soften, and sleep arrives like a tide returning to the shore. In villages, this surrender was collective. Families lay down together, their bodies sinking at once into stillness. The sound of breathing filled the house, slow and deep, one rhythm shared by many. In towns, merchants and craftsmen followed the same pattern, the bustle of the marketplace fading quickly into silence after dusk. In castles, nobles withdrew to their chambers, but even then, servants lay close by, guards rested near the doors. The day ended for all, high and low alike. When the sun had gone, close your eyes now, and imagine how natural this felt. There was no pressure to resist the night, no voice urging you to stay awake, no screen glowing against your face. Only the vastness of dark, the quiet of the world, the weight of your body surrendering. Sleep was not delayed, not questioned, not feared. It was simply accepted, and it came because of that acceptance. Even the waking between first and second sleep carried this calm. To open your eyes in the middle of the night was not cause for worry. You stirred, you breathed, you listened to the silence. Perhaps you rose to add wood to the fire. Perhaps you whispered a prayer. Perhaps you spoke quietly to someone beside you. And then, without struggle, you returned to bed, the second sleep waiting to take you gently into dreams. The rhythm was never broken, only flowing, as steady as water. This trust in the rhythm of night is something we can feel even now. The body knows how to rest when it is allowed to follow its own cycle. It does not need to be forced. It does not need to be watched. It only needs to be surrendered to, the way people once surrendered every evening when the sun disappeared. Imagine yourself now in that surrender. The fire fades. The air cools. The house grows quiet. You curl beneath blankets. The straw beneath you uneven but grounding. You hear the breath of others around you, slow and steady, a chorus of life resting together. The darkness presses against the walls, but it feels soft, protective, not threatening. You know that the night carries you, and you trust it. And so you drift. Your breath slows. Your body softens. Your thoughts grow dim. There is no chase, no question, no urgency. There is only the rhythm of the night, the same rhythm that guided those before you, the same rhythm that guides you now. You let go, and the night takes you deeper, softer, into the stillness that waits. The way people slept 1,000 years ago was shaped not only by family and labor, but also by belief. Night was more than darkness. It was mystery, a place where the unseen and the unknown moved quietly through the world. To sleep was not only to rest the body, but to open the mind to visions, to dreams, to messages that were thought to come from beyond. Imagine lying down in that time. The fire fades, the house grows dark, and you close your eyes. The first sleep takes you deep, carrying you into heavy stillness. But when you wake in the night, when the silence wraps itself around you, you do not fear it. You know that this is the hour when the world is quiet, when the veil between seen and unseen feels thin. People whispered prayers in these hours, believing that the night was sacred, that God listened closely in the stillness. Some repeated psalms, their voices barely louder than breath, letting the rhythm of the words carry them into peace. Dreams, too, were not dismissed. They were considered signs, omens, sometimes warnings, sometimes blessings. A vision of water might be seen as a promise of abundance. A dream of fire might be feared as danger. A meeting with a lost loved one in sleep might be taken as comfort, a message carried from another world. People rose in the morning with their dreams still fresh, sharing them aloud, wondering at their meanings, letting them linger as part of the day's beginning. Close your eyes now and imagine how those dreams felt. The second sleep, lighter and softer, carried images that seemed almost real. A path through the forest, moonlight spilling across the ground, a voice calling your name, though no one stood beside you, the face of a loved one smiling, then fading into mist. These were not just thoughts of the mind. They were mysteries, gifts of the night, reminders that sleep was not empty, but filled with visions. In monasteries, dreams were written down, their symbols studied, their meanings searched for in scripture. Among villagers, they were spoken by the hearth, carried like quiet secrets, sometimes shared, sometimes kept hidden. To dream was to touch something beyond the ordinary, and the night was honored for it. Even the waking between first and second sleep had meaning. Some saw it as an hour of prayer, when the silence of the earth allowed words to rise more easily toward heaven. Others saw it as a time to listen inwardly, to reflect, to think. The stillness of those hours was not wasted, but cherished, as though the night itself had given a gift of time. Now imagine yourself in that moment. You stir from your first sleep, eyes opening to the faint glow of embers. The room is quiet, except for breathing, the slow rise and fall of bodies at rest. You sit up, your blanket still wrapped around you, and listen. Outside, the wind moves softly. Somewhere far away, a dog barks once, then silence again. You whisper a thought, perhaps a prayer, perhaps only your own voice, carried into the stillness. There is no rush, no fear, no sense of being broken from sleep. There is only calm. And then, when your body calls again, you lie back down. The blanket warms you. The straw shifts beneath you. The breath of others steadies you. You close your eyes, and the second sleep takes you. Dreams arrive once more, soft and fleeting, images weaving through your thoughts until morning comes. When the first light slips into the room, when the rooster crows, when the day begins again, you carry those dreams with you. They remain like echoes, whispers of the night still lingering in your mind. Let yourself feel that same calm now. Imagine dreams waiting for you, not as distractions, but as gifts. Imagine the night not as emptiness, but as presence, filled with visions, filled with mystery. Let yourself surrender to it, as they once did 1,000 years ago, trusting that sleep is not only rest, but a doorway, a gentle passage into something more. The night 1,000 years ago was a world of both fear and faith. People lived closer to mystery, closer to silence, closer to the unknown. Shadows stretched long across fields and forests, and in those shadows, they believed, dwelt both danger and wonder. Sleep was more than rest. It was an act of trust, a surrender to the dark, a yielding of the self to what could not be seen. Imagine the flicker of a candle, the way it dances on rough wooden walls before finally fading. When the flame dies, there is no switch to press, no quick way to summon light again. Darkness fills the room, heavy and deep, pressing against every corner. Yet instead of fighting it, people accepted it. They closed their eyes, breathed slowly, and let the night take them. Faith filled the space where fear might have lingered. Prayers were whispered as blankets were pulled close, words meant to protect, to bless, to carry the sleeper safely into dreams. Some believed angels walked the night, watching, guarding, keeping away the unseen dangers. Others feared spirits, witches, or demons that crept in shadows, and yet they still slept. They still trusted the rhythm of the night to carry them. The act of lying down, closing their eyes, surrendering to darkness was itself a kind of devotion. To sleep was to show faith in God, in nature, in the simple truth that morning would return. Close your eyes now and imagine that faith surrounding you. The fire has burned low. The air is cool. The night presses in. You whisper a word of thanks, a prayer, a thought, before letting yourself sink. You trust the blanket to hold you, the walls to guard you, the night to pass. And it does. It always does. The body softens, the mind drifts, the rhythm of breath steadies, and you are carried. Dreams, too, were seen through this lens of faith. A dream of light might be taken as a blessing, a dream of storms as a warning. Some kept their dreams secret, fearing their power. Others shared them in the morning, eager to understand what the night had revealed. In monasteries, monks recorded such visions carefully, seeking meaning in every image, every symbol. Among villagers, dreams became part of stories, told by the fire, remembered as lessons or omens. Sleep was not only for the body, it was a bridge between the earthly and the divine. Even the waking between first and second sleep carried this sacredness. It was a time of prayer, of quiet devotion, of listening. The silence of those hours was like a temple, the stillness a space where hearts felt closer to God, where souls felt open to the unseen. People did not rush to return to bed. They lingered in the stillness, believing that night itself had given them this gift. Imagine yourself now, waking softly in such a moment. The room is dark, the fire low, the world hushed. You fold your hands, close your eyes, whisper a thought into the silence. There is no fear, no urgency, only stillness. You feel the vastness of the night pressing gently around you, and you trust it. When you return to bed, it is with calm, with peace, with faith. The second sleep comes softly, carrying you into dreams that feel lighter, brighter, filled with meaning. Morning arrives slowly, as it always does. The pale light slips across the land. The rooster crows, animals stir, and people rise. They greet the day with their dreams still lingering, with prayers whispered once more, with gratitude that the night has passed safely. Sleep was not only survival, it was part of the sacred cycle, as holy as work, as holy as prayer, as holy as life itself. Let yourself feel that holiness now. Let yourself surrender to the night, not with fear, but with trust. Imagine that every breath carries you deeper, that every moment of stillness is watched over, that every dream is a message, a gift, just as they did long ago. Let yourself close your eyes and let faith guide you into rest, knowing that morning will come, knowing that you are safe, knowing that you are carried. Night, for people 1,000 years ago, was not just an end to the day. It was a passage, a doorway into something beyond themselves. Sleep was not simply closing the eyes, but stepping into a mystery. They did not always separate the physical from the spiritual, the body from the soul. To sleep was to let go of the world for a time, to enter a space where dreams could reveal truths, where prayers could linger, where silence itself felt alive. Imagine yourself lying in the dark of that world. The fire is low, the house hushed, the air cool against your face. Your body is heavy, your mind softened by the rhythm of breath. You close your eyes, and the line between waking and dreaming begins to blur. Images drift in shapes, faces, colors slipping in and out of focus. These are not just fancies of the mind. To those who lived then, they were whispers, signs, messages carried through the night. A dream of water might bring hope of harvest. A dream of fire might be feared as danger. To dream of a lost loved one was to feel their presence once more, a comfort carried across the veil. These dreams mattered. They were spoken of in the morning, remembered in stories, written in the margins of books by monks, shared in quiet whispers at the hearth. Sleep was not only rest, it was revelation. And when people woke in the hours between their first and second sleep, they often treated that time as sacred. The silence felt holy, as if the world itself had paused to listen. They prayed, whispering words in the dark, believing that God's ear was closest in those hours. They reflected, turning thoughts over in their minds, letting the stillness sharpen their clarity. They sat in silence, not hurrying, not fearing the wakefulness, but cherishing it as part of the gift of night. Now imagine yourself in that same moment. You wake softly, not startled, not restless. The room is dark, the embers faint. Others around you breathe steadily, deeply, lost in their dreams. You feel the coolness of the air, the warmth of your blanket, the heaviness of your body. You whisper a thought, perhaps a prayer, perhaps nothing more than gratitude for the stillness itself. You listen, you wait. The night feels endless, but also gentle. There is no need to rush back into dreams. You are already within the mystery, already carried by the rhythm of the night. When sleep returns, it comes softly, like mist moving across a field. Your body sinks, your breath slows, your mind drifts. The second sleep carries you into dreams once more, lighter and more vivid. Visions that wander through landscapes both strange and familiar. These dreams are not dismissed when morning comes. They are remembered, spoken, cherished. They shape the day ahead. Linger in thought. Remind the dreamer that night is more than rest. Morning arrives quietly. The light seeps through cracks in the wall, gray at first, then gold. The rooster crows. The animals stir. The village wakes. People rise slowly, stretching, moving toward their work, but carrying their dreams with them. Some tell them aloud, some hold them in silence, but all know that the night has given them more than sleep. It has given them vision, comfort, meaning. Let yourself feel that now. Imagine sleep not as absence, but as presence. Imagine dreams not as random, but as gifts. Imagine waking in the night not as failure, but as invitation. The silence is holy. The darkness is safe. The dreams are messages carried gently into your mind, just as they once did. You can surrender to it now. Breathe slowly. Close your eyes and let yourself drift, knowing that the night is more than rested, is a passage, a mystery, a gift that carries you deeper, softer, into calm. The night 1,000 years ago was not only shaped by homes and beds, or by prayer and dreams, but also by the seasons themselves. Sleep followed the rhythm of the earth, the length of the days, the changing of light and dark. People did not fight against this rhythm. They accepted it, lived within it, surrendered to it as naturally as breathing. Imagine the long nights of winter. The sun sets early, the air grows cold, and darkness lingers for many hours. Families gather close around the hearth, the fire burning bright against the chill. Supper is eaten early, and when the fire burns low, the house falls quiet. The darkness outside is heavy, deep, endless, and sleep comes quickly. Bodies curl together beneath blankets of wool and fur, pressed close for warmth. The long night carries them through first sleep, through quiet waking, through second sleep, with hours still left before the dawn. Dreams stretch longer, softer, weaving themselves into the stillness of winter. Now imagine summer, when the days are long and the sun lingers late in the sky. Work stretches with the light, fields tended until the last glow fades. By the time darkness falls, exhaustion presses heavily on the body. Sleep comes swiftly, though the night is shorter. People rest in 2 shorter cycles, rising earlier to meet the sun as it climbs quickly once again. The air is warm, windows left open, the sound of insects humming through the night. Even in the shorter darkness, sleep feels full, natural, shaped by the season. Spring and autumn carried their own rhythms. In spring, the nights still cool. People slept long. But the energy of the season brought vivid dreams, the renewal of the earth echoing in the mind. In autumn, with harvest complete and the air turning crisp, nights grew heavier, the body ready to store strength for the cold ahead. Every season guided rest, every change in light shaped the body's rhythm. Close your eyes and imagine how steady this felt. No artificial light to stretch the day, no glowing screens to blur the lines of time. Life followed the sun. When it rose, the world stirred. When it set, the world surrendered. Sleep was not measured by numbers, but by cycles, by the turning of the earth, by the tilt of the seasons. The body knew what it needed, and it found it in the darkness, whether long or short, cold or warm. Even animals shared this rhythm. Chickens roosted when the sun disappeared, waking at dawn. Cows and sheep settled in their pens, their breathing joining the chorus of the night. Dogs curled near fires. Cats hunted silently in the dark. People lived among them, listening to their sounds, moving with their pace, guided by the same pattern of light and dark. Sleep was not separate from the world. It was part of the same great cycle, the turning of seasons, the rise and fall of the sun. Think of the long winter night again. The air is cold. The fire burns faintly. The darkness outside stretches endlessly. You are wrapped in heavy blankets, the warmth of others close to you. The room filled with the sound of steady breathing. Hours pass unnoticed. The night vast but gentle, carrying you through deep dreams. Then think of summer, when the window is open, the warm air drifting in, the hum of insects filling the night. The darkness is shorter, but the body still finds rest, carried by the same rhythm, guided by the same night sky. Let yourself feel that same cycle now. Imagine surrendering not to a clock, not to a schedule, but to the natural rhythm of light and dark. Imagine rising with the sun, sleeping with the night, trusting the seasons to guide you, just as they did long ago. Let yourself yield to the simplicity, the inevitability, the peace of the earth's turning. Let that rhythm carry you, steady and timeless, into rest. The seasons shaped every part of life 1,000 years ago, and sleep was no exception. With no way to hold back the dark, no electricity to brighten the hours, people surrendered to the rhythm of the earth. Their nights grew longer in winter, shorter in summer, and the body followed without question. It was not a struggle, it was simply the way of things. Picture the depth of winter. The nights stretch vast and endless. Snow lies heavy on the ground outside, the air sharp and cold, the wind pressing against wooden walls. Inside, a fire burns low, the last logs glowing faintly, casting a dim light that wavers on rough beams. Families gather tightly, blankets and furs piled thick, bodies pressed together for warmth. The darkness outside feels immense, but within the room there is safety, warmth, and closeness. Sleep comes quickly, deep and heavy, lasting through long hours, broken only by the natural pause between the two cycles of rest. In these months, the body slows. Work is less demanding, the days shorter, and the nights longer. People allow themselves to rest more deeply, to dream more vividly. The second sleep lingers, carrying visions until the grey dawn arrives late. the sun slow to climb above the horizon. Winter sleep is heavy, like the earth itself, conserving strength for the months ahead. Now imagine the opposite summer. The sun lingers in the sky, the air warm, the light golden even into the evening. Work stretches with the daylight, fields tended until the last glow fades. When darkness finally comes, it does not last long. People sleep in shorter cycles, rising early to meet the sun again. Windows are left open. Breezes drift across the room. Insects hum in the distance, the soft chorus of crickets filling the air. Sleep is lighter, dreams quicker, yet still steady, still guided by the same timeless pattern. Spring and autumn carried their own songs. In spring, the nights were still cool, but life was awakening, and sleep felt vibrant, filled with the energy of renewal. Dreams often mirrored this, vivid and colorful, shaped by the season's return to life. In autumn, when the harvest was gathered and the air grew crisp, nights became deeper again, the body preparing for the long darkness ahead. Each season carried its rhythm, each guided sleep in its own way, and people followed naturally, without resistance. Close your eyes now, and imagine this surrender. Imagine living in tune with the earth, with no lights to blur the boundaries, no clocks to dictate the hours. You sleep because the sun has set. You rise because the sun has returned. The body trusts this rhythm. The mind trusts it. There is no need to question whether rest will come, for it always does, guided by the same turning of the earth that has carried life for centuries. Even the sounds of the seasons shaped the night. In winter, the house groaned under the weight of wind and snow, the fire crackling faintly, the silence thick outside. In summer, insects sang, leaves rustled, distant voices carried on the warm night air. In autumn, the wind whispered through fields, carrying the smell of harvest, while in spring, rain tapped softly against roofs, filling the night with gentle rhythm. These sounds did not disturb sleep. They were part of it, blending into dreams, guiding rest deeper. Think now of how steady this felt. No struggle to fit sleep into schedules, no worry over hours. Only the trust that darkness meant rest, that light meant waking, that the seasons themselves held the rhythm of life. People did not master the night, they yielded to it, and in yielding they found peace. Let yourself yield in the same way. Imagine winter's deep night carrying you into heavy dreams, summer's short darkness cradling you in light rest, spring filling your mind with vivid visions, autumn softening you into calm. The cycle turns, and you turn with it, steady, timeless, safe, just as they did long ago. Let yourself surrender to the earth's rhythm, and let it carry you now, deeper and deeper into sleep. The seasons did more than shape the length of nights. They shaped the very feeling of sleep, the way it wrapped around the body, the way dreams unfolded, the way mornings arrived. To live without electricity, without the power to push against nature, was to live in surrender to it. Each change of season was a change in rhythm, and the body accepted it without resistance. Imagine again the depth of winter. The air outside is frozen, the ground covered in snow, the fields silent under a white blanket. Inside, the house is dim, the fire low, the air thick with smoke and warmth. Blankets and furs cover you, heavy and grounding, pressing you deep into stillness. The darkness stretches long, and you sleep heavily, your dreams slow and lingering. When you wake between the first and second sleep, the silence feels absolute, the night endless. You stir the fire, watch the embers flare, whisper a thought or a prayer, then curl back beneath the blankets. The second sleep carries you deeper still, until the pale light of dawn finally touches the frost. Now turn to summer. The days are long, the work unending, the light golden until late into the evening. You lie down, exhausted, your body aching from labor, the warm air moving softly through an open window. Insects sing outside, a steady chorus that blends with your breath. The night is short, but your sleep is full, carried in two lighter cycles, each dream quick and vivid. When you wake in the middle of the night, you hear the hum of crickets, the soft call of an owl, the whisper of warm wind in the trees. You rise early with the sun, your body restored not by length, but by the rhythm itself. Spring brings a different rest. The air smells of rain and earth, of flowers just beginning to open. Nights are cool, refreshing, filled with the sound of water dripping from eaves, of frogs calling in ponds, of the soft patter of rain against rooftops. Dreams are vivid, bright, colored with the renewal of life all around. The sleep of spring feels light but full of energy, carrying the mind into visions of growth and change. An autumn carries its own hush. The harvest is finished, the fields turned bare, the air sharp with the scent of fallen leaves. Nights grow longer again, the body slower, heavier. People rest deeply, conserving energy for the winter to come. The sounds of autumn nights are softer, the wind whispering across stubbled fields, the faint creak of drying branches. Sleep in autumn feels steady, rooted, like the earth itself preparing to turn inward. Close your eyes now, and let these rhythms wash over you. Winter's long nights, summer's brief rests, spring's vivid dreams, autumn's deep calm. The body yields to each in turn, just as it once did for those who lived before you. There is no struggle, no chase, no resistance, only the turning of the seasons and the steady trust that sleep will always come, shaped by the world around you. Even the mornings were guided by season. In winter, dawn was late, slow, grey, the sun hesitant to rise. People woke gently, sometimes before light, sometimes with it, but always at the pace of the day. In summer, dawn came early, bright and golden, pulling people from beds almost as soon as they had closed their eyes. In spring, mornings were fresh and cool, filled with birdsong. In autumn, mornings were hushed, the light soft, the air crisp. Each morning carried the flavor of the season. Each waking was part of the same endless circle. Let yourself feel that circle now. Imagine lying beneath blankets, hearing the winter wind howl, then shifting to a summer night with insects humming, then to spring rain tapping softly, then to autumn leaves whispering outside. Each season different, yet each carrying the same gift, renewal, the calm of surrender. Just as they did 1,000 years ago, you can yield to it now. Breathe slowly, deeply, and let the rhythm of the seasons guide you into rest, into dreams, into the timeless calm of night. The way people slept 1,000 years ago was not only shaped by family, faith, and seasons, but also by the sounds and scents of their homes. The night was alive with sensations that wrapped themselves around rest, weaving into dreams, guiding the body deeper into stillness. Sleep did not arrive in silence or emptiness. It came surrounded by the small details of life, by the crackle of fire, by the smell of smoke, by the creak of timber, by the fragrance of herbs tucked into bedding. Imagine yourself lying in a simple home. The fire has burned low, leaving only embers glowing faintly, their warmth still radiating into the cool air. The room smells of smoke, faint but steady, mixed with the earthy scent of straw beneath you. Blankets of wool cover your body, rough against the skin but grounding, pressing you into calm. Perhaps herbs are scattered in the bedding: lavender, sharp and sweet; rosemary, strong and protective; sage, cleansing and earthy. Each breath you take carries those scents, weaving them into the rhythm of your dreams. The sounds, too, are constant companions. Wood shifts as the house cools, beams creaking softly. A dog stirs near the door, shifting with a sigh. Outside, the faint cry of an owl drifts across the fields, low and haunting. In the distance, perhaps, a wolf calls, its voice stretching long through the dark. These are not interruptions. They are the lullabies of the night, reminders that the world is alive, that you are part of something vast and eternal. Close your eyes now and imagine these sensations cradling you. The smell of smoke and herbs, the sound of embers crackling, the coolness of air against your skin, the warmth of blankets pressing down. Sleep does not come as silence, but as harmony. Each scent, each sound, each touch blends together into a steady rhythm that carries you deeper, softer, further into dreams. Even in wealthier homes, the sensations of night were present. Curtains drawn round beds muffled some sounds, but not all. The wind still pressed against the walls. The fire still whispered as it burned low. Servants still shifted quietly nearby. Linen sheets might carry the faint fragrance of oils or perfumes, but the air still carried the scent of smoke, the smell of wood, the cool dampness of stone. No one was untouched by the presence of the night. Manned in crowded inns, where travelers lay shoulder to shoulder, the night was filled with human sounds. The steady chorus of snores, the shifting of bodies, the faint cough of a stranger, the rustle of straw beneath many restless sleepers. The air smelled of hay and sweat, of leather and dust, of firewood burning in the common hearth. Sleep came not in silence, but in the company of others, wrapped in the ordinary details of shared life. Think now of how these sensations shaped dreams. The smell of herbs might weave into visions of gardens, of fields, of strange landscapes fragrant with flowers. The sound of an owl might echo into a dream as a voice, mysterious and distant. The creak of wood might become footsteps in a dream. The crackle of fire, a glow that fills the mind. The world outside and the world within were not separate. They blended, flowed, shifted together, turning sleep into something both physical and mystical. Let yourself feel that blending now. Imagine the sounds of your room creaks, sighs, whispers, becoming part of your own rest. Imagine the smells: smoke, hay, herbs slipping quietly into your dreams. Imagine the warmth of blankets pressing down, the coolness of air brushing against your face, the rhythm of your own breath joining the chorus of night. Nothing is separate. Everything is part of sleep. Breathe slowly, deeply, and let yourself surrender to these sensations, just as they did long ago. Allow yourself to drift not into silence, but into harmony, the harmony of scent, of sound, of warmth, of darkness. Let the night carry you as it carried them deeper and deeper into calm. The night long ago was a tapestry of sensations. Every detail mattered, every small sound, every faint scent, every flicker of light from the hearth. People did not live apart from these things. They lived within them. Sleep came wrapped in the touch of wool, the smell of smoke, the creak of timber, the chorus of the night outside. These were not distractions. They were the very fabric of rest. Imagine the smell of smoke lingering in the air, faint but steady, the reminder of the fire that warmed the home. It clings to blankets, to hair, to clothing, until it becomes part of life itself. With it comes the smell of hay, dry and earthy, drifting upward from the straw mattress. Mixed in are the sharp, subtle fragrances of herbs: lavender for calm, rosemary for protection, thyme for clarity. Each scent drifts into the senses, each breath pulling the world deeper into the body, each fragrance carrying you toward dreams. The sounds, too, are constant companions. The faint pop of a log collapsing into embers, the creak of the roof as the night air cools it, the quiet sigh of someone turning in their sleep beside you. Beyond the walls, an owl calls, its voice low and haunting, answered by silence. Farther off, a wolf howls, its cry echoing across the fields, reminding you of the vastness outside. None of this disturbs you. It reassures you. It reminds you that the night is alive, that you are part of its rhythm, that you are carried by something older and larger than yourself. Close your eyes now and feel those sensations weaving around you. The weight of blankets pressing gently against your chest, the straw beneath you shifting as you move, the cool air brushing against your face. You hear the breathing of others, steady, soft, blending with your own. You smell the smoke, the hay, the herbs, each fragrance soothing, grounding, carrying you deeper into calm. The night is not empty. It is full, and it holds you gently within it. Even in wealthier homes, the sensations of night surrounded sleep. Linen sheets carried the faint scent of oils or perfumes, but smoke still lingered in the air. The wind still pressed against stone walls. The creak of wood still echoed through beams. Curtains around the bed muffled some of the sounds, but they did not erase them. The world outside still seeped in, a reminder that no one, no matter how rich, could separate themselves from the presence of the night. In crowded inns, the tapestry was heavier, straw filled with dust, the smell of leather and travel clinging to clothes. The heat of many bodies pressed close. Snores rose and fell like waves. Coughs broke the silence. Footsteps creaked on floorboards as travelers shifted in their sleep. The air was thick, yet even here people found rest. The body yielded, the mind softened, and dreams carried them past discomfort, weaving together the human sounds and scents into sleep. Think of how these details shaped dreams. The sound of wind through the trees might slip into a vision of voices whispering. The smell of herbs might become a garden in a dream, filled with flowers in endless bloom. The creak of beams might turn into footsteps in a dream, the flicker of embers into strange lights that glow in the mind. Sleep was not separate from the world. It was infused with it, shaped by it, carried by it. Let yourself feel that now. Imagine each sound, each scent, each small sensation around you as part of your rest. The creak of wood does not disturb you, it grounds you. The smell of smoke does not linger as burden it soothes you. The breath of others does not intrude, reassures you. Everything belongs. Everything carries you deeper. Breathe slowly, deeply, and let yourself surrender to this harmony, just as they did long ago. Let yourself drift not into silence, but into fullness of sound, of scent, of warmth, of darkness. Let the night hold you. Let the world wrap itself around you, and let sleep take you gently, steadily, endlessly onward.